Hello, everyone. This is Andres Restart. I am joined by my good friend Rob from Rule to Review. How you doing, buddy?
I am good, my man. Thanks for having me back. Good to be back and
Yeah,
talking some fun stuff.
yeah. It's been a little bit since we've done a live show together. I think the last time I don't even know if that was a live show. We did the some sort of it was you, me, Joey, and Dave in some sort of.
It was the pre Metroid Prime 4.
There
Like
we
probably
go.
2 weeks or so before the game came out. I think was the last time we did something together.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been a little bit, but I feel like some things have happened that you and I are both pretty excited about. Technically not confirmed stuff. There's some. I mean, we have the movie stuff we can talk about that's confirmed,
Yeah.
but there's really strong reason that's being widely reported by various outlets now of two big things that are happening this year. Star Fox not only is in the Mario Galaxy movie, but is going to have a game, and reportedly, it's going to be announced this April and is going to come out this summer. We'll talk more details on that in a bit. But also, that long theorized and also rumored Ocarina of Time remake is now being widely reported as perhaps Nintendo's biggest release for this year to celebrate Zelda's 40th anniversary. It's been described as a full remake. There's a lot of room for interpretation there still, but that sounds pretty exciting alone. And there are some other details that are suggestive of perhaps something even bigger than just a typical visual remake. So it's pretty exciting. Like this is a big thing. I've been talking about it. You've been talking about it.
It's been a busy week.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
been a crazy week, a very crazy week. Like this time last week, like things were, not everything went from 0 to 100 like that.
It did.
So
It really did.
it's been a crazy turnaround. I I was still thinking Star Fox was gonna be in the Mario. Like this time last week, I don't even think we knew that Star Fox was in the movie yet. Like it was gonna be confirmed. I think it was confirmed on a Wednesday, so we're doing this on
Wednesday
Tuesday
or
night.
Thursday. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
not been a week yet.
Right. So like so much has happened since then, right? Like I thought Star Fox would be in the movie, but also like it wasn't confirmed yet. They didn't show it off in the Mario movie direct. So I was like, well, I thought if they were gonna, they would have been in the direct, but we still don't know who that character is in that single frame. And
Yeah.
there are
I know you were
Pikmin.
talking about it a lot. I saw you
Yeah.
you were theorizing about it. Yeah.
People were calling me crazy, but I was like, but it's just what I believe based off what I'm seeing. So, that got confirmed. Well, actually, you know what? I think I did do a live stream with Attack the Backlog after Star Fox was confirmed, but that live stream was still before the Nate the Hate podcast dropped. His podcast dropped on Friday though.
It did. And
I think I did like a
also-
Thursday live stream or something. So that's probably why I was talking about the Star Fox thing then.
Yeah,
but,
and it's also worth noting. I don't know the exact schedule, but they record those podcasts, I think, several days in advance. So it's worth noting that even though that podcast dropped after the Star Fox or Fox in the movie news, that wasn't even news that they had at the time that they made the podcast.
They did
So
not.
everything,
That's
everything
true.
kind of staggered itself, right? So that's why I know they didn't even talk about it. And I listened to that whole podcast. I don't know if you did, but
I
I
did.
did, and they didn't even mention Fox in the movie. So
No. Yeah. Yes, it is interesting how that works. But everyone in the chat, just let us know if you can hear it and if you can hear us well. I'll take a few questions here to start. But whenever Rob and I are on, I feel like our discussions just keep going. So we'll do a few questions to start, and then we're just gonna kind of go through everything. Rob's got dinner coming up in a bit, so if we haven't, he may leave by the time it's for him to go. I can't even speak English anymore.
we've got some
when
time.
when it's your time to go.
Yeah.
If we haven't gotten to the questions yet, I will do the questions, but we'll focus on questions towards the end is my main point here. But I'll do a little bit
we
here.
Get to a few, hopefully
Yeah,
we
yeah.
get to chime in on a couple.
Well, we'll do a few right now to start.
Okay, great.
So, hey, Joey in the chat, what's up, buddy?
Oh, Joey's here. What's up, my man?
Yeah,
Mr. Ferris.
Connor says everything sounds good, although some are saying that you're a bit quiet. Maybe you could just notch it a degree?
That I'm quiet?
Just a little.
I always have audio. I am so sorry to everyone watching.
I mean, I could hear you fine, right? But between my loud voice, so maybe, you know.
I always have. Let me see.
They only said, it was only one person that said a bit, so I think if you just raise it a tiny bit, it would be fine.
Ask everyone if that makes a difference. I just went into the settings and cranked it. I just cranked it.
Okay. I mean, it still sounds agreeable to me now. It should be a little louder. I know there's a little bit of a delay in the chat, but let me know if that sounds better, guys.
And I can talk right up close on the microphone.
Oh, when you do that, yeah. They're saying it's a huge difference now, so it's better. Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks, guys, for letting us know. It's a good thing we got that out of the way now to start. But we got a couple super chats here, so let's check those out. Let's see what's going on. All right, so Adrian here. Andre, regarding the Zelda remake to celebrate Zelda's 40th, we're thinking about the Switch 2, but will there be anything for Switch 1, Twilight Princess and Wind Waker? So this is a good question. I've been on the record for saying that if we are to get Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD, like if those are ever going to see the light of day on Switch, it would be for the 40th anniversary. It's the only explanation for why Nintendo would have held them for this long, or they're just not happening. I believe the Ocarina of Time, it hasn't been clarified, but I think it seems pretty likely that Ocarina of Time remake is going to be an ambitious Switch 2 showcase. So I would assume they would probably want to have something for Switch 1 for the anniversary, especially if they also want to kind of use that to help campaign and market towards the live action movie. So you want to have a wide reach, very similar to Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, how that was for Switch, but they had a little bit of a Switch 2 enhancement. I don't know if you agree with that, Rob, or if there's anything else you want to add.
I mean, I basically do, yeah. I would think, because I think to the point of the question, it's that if it would be a Switch 1 release for those HD ports, and I do think, yes, that's what they would do. It just makes too much business sense. And at this point, I mean, how long do we think Nintendo will continue to still support the Switch 1? I think there's at least 2 more years. Whenever there's a reason for a game that doesn't have to be Switch 2 only, and I think Yoshi might be the exception, because Yoshi is probably a game that could be Switch 1, but it's not. And I actually think that's the right call. I think we want those Switch 2 exclusives that justify our purchase. But certain things, like a Zelda game, or Zelda ports, I should say, remasters, it just makes too much sense to make them available on the Switch 1 audience. And then maybe they're Switch 2 enhanced in some way, maybe they're not, but it's smartest for them to be Switch 1 games that just play on the Switch 2. I think if they happen, yes, it should be this year. Like, they've got to do some kind of a game, for the 40th. Although the remake, I guess, is probably what the big thing would be. So, yeah.
I think there's maybe a little bit of wiggle room there, because they're probably going to want to kind of market Zelda leading up to the movie the same way they did for Mario. And the movie comes out in May, so maybe we extend those anniversary celebrations into the first half of next year. So maybe they could have a release in those first few months.
Did
possibly.
They not do that? It's a great point. Remind me. Mario's 35th. Didn't they do that? Because that was the 3D All-Stars. And wasn't that like in October into February the next year or something?
Yeah, Bowser's Fury came out February afterwards.
Yes, that's what it was. And they still marketed that as part of that 35th anniversary, even though it went into the next calendar year. So that's a great point. They might do that with Zelda. Or Metroid. Or Metroid.
Well, there's something to that. I think we're gonna circle back to, actually.
I just had to get that in there. So
yeah. No, I don't normally think they're gonna celebrate Metroid in a big way, but there is something that's supposedly coming. Maybe. Yeah. It's less. I wouldn't put it in the same category as Star Fox and Ocarina of Time, but there's something. There's something that might be. Yeah. We'll get to it, though. We'll get to it. Anyway, I don't want to commit to Twilight Princess and Wind Waker happening for sure, just because I feel like we've been kind of talking about it for such a long time, and it's like we're just always wrong about it.
It's been like forever with those games, Maybe they never happen. I doubt they'll never happen, but at what point do you think that we as a fan base need to maybe start to reconcile? Will they never do them? I think they will, but it's been a while, and like, at what point is it so far gone that they'll never do it? So
I'm kind of like holding back because I know if I start saying this stuff, we're gonna just like go all into the conversation.
It's a good point. And there's other questions. I know you got other super chats too. So,
but I don't know if you saw my video today or at least saw the headline. But
I've been working.
I didn't expect you to. But I think the Ocarina of Time remake is just the beginning. And if it's just the beginning, maybe we really don't need a Twilight Princess Wind Waker HD. Granted, by the time they would get around to a Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, it would be years from now. So they could still do it, and it would be fine. But I'm just saying, once Ocarina of Time remake comes out, it opens the door for more. Agreed.
Very much agreed.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to talk about like Wind Waker or Twilight Princess remakes, like this would be the first. So then you're talking about Nintendo doing with Zelda. Yeah. So you'd be talking about Nintendo doing with Zelda what Capcom started doing with Resident Evil.
Literally that, or what Square Enix has done with Final Fantasy.
True. Well,
like,
yeah.
Well, not in the sense that
different but similar. Yeah.
Similar in the sense that they have a separate team that's making a different type of mainline entry for the series. You have the 2D developer, the open air developer, and a 3D remake developer.
I love it. That's the dream.
That's what I'm kind of getting at. And there's some anyway, just keep that in mind for now. We'll come back. We'll circle back to it later. Regardless, Adrian, I think they got to give Switch One owners something for the anniversary. So we'll see what that. If it's not that, maybe it's 2D Zelda. Maybe we'll see. But definitely, I think something's got to come outside of the big remake, which would probably be Switch 2 exclusive. Nate, been a member for 50 months. That's a huge number. You're halfway to 100. That's awesome. I hope you get there. Really appreciate you. Thank you for sticking around all this time. Attack the Backlog with Super Chat. Hi, guys. Hope you're well. What percentage chance do you give Samus of being in the Mario Galaxy movie? Well, Rob, how about you give us your take here first, because I've kind of talked about this before.
I'm going to give it 20%, which is 1/5. So a 1 out of 5 shot. And maybe that's even shooting low. Star Fox McCloud clearly shows that they're willing to cross universes. And I know that there's Pikmin. So Pikmin and Fox, it's like, they're crossing universes. They're do what? Oh, and Rob. Yeah, Rob the robot.
Yeah. That's you. Very. Unless that would be a surprise.
I'm not in the movie. Well. Spoiler. Okay, I wish. Although Rob isn't really Rob doesn't represent a gaming universe, to be fair, whereas Pikmin and
that's next level.
And Fox do. And they're both space-related franchises. How many of those are out there? You could argue Xenoblade with Xenoblade Chronicles X in particular, but Metroid is the other big one. So maybe even 20% is low. I think that they're clearly setting up more. And I tweeted about this. I mentioned this on my video a few days ago about the Fox news in the movie. If there's any chance of Samus showing up in the movie, I think it's just going to be the post-credit scene. The way we got wasn't Tails at the end of Sonic 1, the post-credits to Sonic 1. Yeah. So I feel like if she's going to be in the movie, it's not going to be like a speaking part in the film, but prepare for to see her boots or something in the post-credits.
That'd be really cool.
That would be my guess. So
the number that came to me was 10%.
Okay, so lower.
I don't want to rule it out, but I also kind of feel like it would have come my way by this point. Maybe I know that there's some stuff with apparently there's 2 ending credit scenes, so
there is.
Make sure you sit through it all.
There's a mid and a post.
Yeah. So I don't know what those have. I have done my best to not get myself spoiled, but I just kind of feel like that if Samus was in the movie, I would have heard about it. Maybe not, right? But
it's even a little post credits though, that's different than Samus and her face and speaking and shooting. If it's just that, it could be so much easier to hide. than what Fox seems to be in the movie, right?
Sure.
The whole conversation was they promoted him because and cast a huge actor because more than likely he's got some significance, not one line and disappears. So,
correct.
But Samus could be easier to hide if she's just a little in and out kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's also possible that there's going to be some hidden things that not everyone's going to notice. It's going to require like that analytical eye. So, maybe some of us will watch the movie and be like, hey, critics didn't notice this, right? Like that's certainly possible. Mm-hmm. But even before like we started hearing some impressions of the movies already, I was low on the possibility. Again, I'm not ruling it out, right? I gave it 10%. And it's just because, well, one, I do think, I mean, you kind of already explained this away a little bit, but I do think Star Fox is kind of like the star of the show outside of the Mario characters, because I think there's an intent there. I mean, we're hearing about a game, right? So I think that's all a part of Nintendo's big cross-promotional plan. They've done it for Donkey Kong. Now it's Star Fox's turn. And so I think including another character may take away a bit from that. I mean, unless it is just like a post-credits thing. So, not necessarily.
I'm telling you,
but also, like, we just kind of got like a little bit of a big of a push for Metroid. I just kind of feel like others are going to be getting a push right now. I don't want to say we're never going to get like a Metroid thing in a movie. I think that makes a lot of sense. I just don't know if it's going to happen now. I mean, also, like, what if the post-credits scene is teasing a Star Fox movie, for example? That feels like that's probably coming first. I'd
love that. Is Star Fox big enough?
Well,
though?
Donkey Kong
fair,
movie
is
and then
Metroid
Star
big
Fox
enough?
movie.
I mean, so there's a conversation to have about both, but like I think Star Fox is smaller than Metroid as much, and I love it.
Sure.
So
well,
who knows?
will Star Fox remain smaller than Metroid though after this push?
Great point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Donkey Kong Bonanza looks to be bigger than Metroid right now. I mean, Donkey Kong kind of like seemingly already had that potential because it many times has already outsold Metroid games. But it wasn't guaranteed either, right? Like not every Donkey Kong game eclipses a Metroid game. This one has.
Very true.
So
very true. Very true. I think being so early on in the Switch 2 helped it. I mean, and Metroid Prime 4 was early on in the sense that it was 6 months after it launched, but I mean, Donkey Kong was like the second big game. It was only a month after the Switch 2
He will
came
pick
out.
up
So,
Donkey
it was
Kong
one of those.
when they get a
It's
Switch
why
2.
remember. Yeah, and how many times for years did you and I talk about on podcasts like why we thought Metroid Prime 4 could have been an ideal launch game even before we knew there was a Switch 2? Because when you make it one of those killer app premier titles when there are less options on the market, that could have been Nintendo's strategy to make sure more people would buy a game like Metroid because options are limited, which isn't downplaying the quality. It's not downplaying the quality of Donkey Kong. Obviously, that game's amazing. But it's just interesting to factor in those things. But Donkey Kong deserved to sell whatever 5 or 6 million it sold, or was it 8? I don't remember by the last count, but it's deserved to sell.
It's already at 8. If it's already at 8, that'd be.
I don't know. I think I'm overshooting it. I know the first report was like 4 million, and I think
it's like I think the last report is 4.5 million. But I mean,
maybe that's.
I don't doubt that it's eventually going to get to 8.
Over time, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, let's look. Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yeah. See if I'm crazy. I don't remember.
Well, 4 months ago, it's at 4.25. As of
okay,
their last
that was
update.
the number I was thinking of. Then I thought maybe we had gotten a significant update since that number. That would have been another couple million.
Yeah,
that sounds about right then. Okay.
Yeah, I mean they might be close to 5 with the next update for the fiscal year because the fiscal year actually ends today, right? So that will be reported like 6 weeks from now or something.
Yeah, a couple weeks. That's where we're gonna get those true Metroid Prime 4 numbers, man. I can't wait.
I've seen some people argue that we might not if they don't see enough sales to kind of update on it. Apparently, Nintendo doesn't update if it doesn't exceed 1 million during the period. I don't know.
During the period or lifetime? I guess I don't know. I assumed it was lifetime.
Both.
Oh.
Like I don't know exactly how it works.
Oh man.
But I mean, we'll put it this way: if we don't see an update, I think that kind of tells us what we need to know.
It's true, but I'm putting my optimistic Metroid fanboy hat on here. If they don't update lifetime, and I really think they do, but let's say they don't. It's just this quarter, what did it sell? And it has to sell 1 million or more per quarter. And with Metroid's case, per platform, mathematically, I am not saying this is what it is, but mathematically, each platform, Switch 1 and Switch 2, could sell 900,000 in a quarter and not be reported. But after 4 months, that's like 4 million copies.
Right.
It's a stretch.
The more I think about it, I don't think it's
saying,
entirely. I absolutely do. But I'm just kind of thinking it through. Like, we've seen Bonanza updated at like 3.49 and updated at 4.25. So obviously they can have updates that are less than 1 million. So I don't think that's entirely true. But what may be the issue is perhaps neither version eclipses 1 million, and that won't be reported.
In a quarter.
Or lifetime.
Well, I just don't think that's going to happen, man.
I think the Switch 2 version is probably going to eclipse 1 million, but maybe the Switch 1 version doesn't. But I guess my point is, like, we're not going to know the full picture, like, because maybe Switch 1's at 800,000 and Switch 2 version's like at 1.3. So that would mean it's actually over 2 million, but we're only going to see the 1.3. And so we're just going to be like, oh, Prime 4 never going to eclipse 2 million. Which, by the way, I got to say, I still find those numbers underwhelming.
Sure.
You know,
it was a rough go in the weeks leading up, man, for all the reasons we know. I think that there's a good chance, and who knows how it's going to be reported, because just like we're saying, what are they going to choose to make visible or not based on how they do this, which we're not 100% sure of, at least the two of us here. I think that there's a chance. So as of today, it's going to be just under 4 complete months on the market. Okay, that's what they're going to be reporting in a couple of weeks, is almost 4 complete months. I think almost guaranteed, I would bet my bottom dollar that combined, we're at well over 2 million. I just believe that. 2.5 million.
I hope you're right.
Now, do I think it should have sold more? And would Nintendo have wanted it to sell more, given how much time it took, how beautiful it is, the money we know they put into it? I think it would be nice if it was at 3.5. But I think anywhere in your 2.1 to 2.5 is very possible. And I know people who don't like the game will think I'm crazy because they don't like the game, and that's fine. It clearly was a divisive game. But there was a marketing push. People waited for it. And I think a lot of people, even despite the mixed reviews, still went out and bought that game. I'm telling you, people bought that game. Now, is it going to have undersold? Almost definitely. And that breaks my heart. I'm sure it breaks your heart.
Yeah, it does.
But I don't think it's this train wreck turd of a sales thing that everyone expects. We'll see. We'll see. I guess I have to prepare myself for whatever it looks like when we see the report. But
I also don't think it's over either, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
I've seen Kiwi talk about, and I don't know how vetted this is, right? So, like, he would have to speak to it. I'm just trying to say, I
know he's not a believer in the sales. I know that he thinks it's kind of a bomb.
Yeah.
So who knows?
But I think what I'm trying to say is that I believe he's talked about how he's heard, and I don't want to like subscribe like extreme. I don't want to say like this is like something he's reported with extreme confidence is what I'm trying to say. But I know he's at least mentioned that he's heard that Nintendo's kind of tried to figure out what's going on with Metroid, and ultimately they decided that they haven't been consistent enough with the series. So right now, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Prime 4 didn't do well. Just scrap it, scrap the future." But that would kind of go against that would be going into the problem, right? If they believe the problem might be the fact that they're not consistent enough, then maybe don't give up just because Prime 4 didn't quite measure up to expectation, right? Especially if you already have the foundation in place.
Exactly.
And
Metroid Prime 4 is also following up in terms of new games, the most successful Metroid game ever commercially, and one of the best critically. I mean, at whatever, what is that, 91, 93 maybe on Metacritic? It's over 90 on Metacritic.
Oh, to be clear, I don't think that 2D Metroid is in any sort of 2D Metroid is here to stay forever. But
but it's still Samus. It's still the Metroid name and IP, and I agree with you. Whether or not they want to continue the Prime name or the first-person thing, obviously,
it's the Prime that I'm a little concerned about.
I could see that being a debate internally, but I think Metroid and Samus in general, it's still an important part of Nintendo's lineage and their what is the word I'm trying to look for? It's just their general game catalog, and I've mentioned this before, and I know you and I have also talked about this. I think that Nintendo views Metroid as a goodwill franchise. So I think they will always make games and support them. It might be one of those franchises that they're even willing to experiment with here and there and do weird things in the future. And I think that coming off of whatever 3.5 million Dread has sold, I think if Prime 4, even though we know it cost a lot more money than Dread, if it sits at that 2.5-ish million, even lifetime, even if it doesn't hit 3 million and more, if it doesn't surpass Dread, it's still not the most unbelievable train wreck that people will want to say. And Nintendo will still see a franchise and a character and an IP that they know is valuable. They know the passionate fans are out there like you, me, and a lot of other people. And even though a lot of people don't like Prime 4, I think that they'll say, oh, we still got something. Dread was great. Prime 4 did okay if it hits that 2.5 lifetime. I still think higher is possible. Now, commercially, they know that they've got an issue on their hands when it comes to the reception, which is unfortunate. But I just don't think that they're going to like give up on all things Samus and Metroid, even outside of the 2D stuff going forward. I just feel like that. Again, maybe I'm being foolishly optimistic as a fan, but
I've just realized how much I want to pick your brain about the future of Metroid here. But what I am thinking about right now is that like it's not necessarily over for Prime 4. Let's say it gets only around 2 million now or 2.5. It could lifetime eventually get to 3. Because one, people may pick it up whenever they get a Switch 2. That could maybe feed into why there's not as many sales right now because people are kind of waiting to play it in the best way possible. But also, you know, maybe there is a DLC update coming in the not so distant future. We haven't had a general direct since Prime 4 has come out. And I think that should be considered here. We already got Bonanza DLC. Pokemon already got its DLC. I don't think Kirby Air Riders is getting DLC. Hyrule Warriors might.
Forgotten Land got DLC.
You mean the Switch 2 edition?
Yeah, of Kirby.
They added DLC on top of the Switch 2 edition?
No, that's what I'm talking about. The Switch 2 edition was the Star-Crossed World. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if they would add that for Prime 4, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, they might have an update for Prime 4 in the next Direct that might kind of, you know, whatever that is, that might give it a little bit more runway, right?
Yeah.
If Silex is added to the next Smash entry, which I think is very likely, I think that could give it a little bit of a boost. Like, look at the boost that Pyra and Mithra gave to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So, you know, I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 actually continued to sell, even though it actually also, you know, was a little bit of, I mean, not as poorly received as Prime 4, but definitely not as well received as Xenoblade Chronicles 1.
It's not the darling of the franchise, that's for sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it still became the best selling, right?
Xenoblade 2 did? I didn't know that.
Yes.
Is it really? Wow.
It is.
I mean, that game's fine. It's definitely my least favorite of them, but I don't hate it. It's just.
It's my favorite just because I think I really fell in love with the anime story. So I really enjoy the characters and I really like the world design. They're all great. I love all the Xenoblade games. But my point is simply is that hey, Xenoblade 2 continued to sell throughout the generation and became the best-selling Xenoblade. Part of that's because it came out early, like Prime 4. If like Xenoblade 2, Prime 4 gets a DLC gets a character in Smash, that could help. If and when they announce the Prime 5, people are like, oh, well, I got to play Prime 4 now, right? Because Silex is, I think we've only really scratched the surface with Silex. So, you know,
Tanabe basically confirmed it. He did when he was when he announced his retirement. So there's more to come.
There's more. There's more.
Fingers crossed, I believe.
That's the intent, at least, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, people are going to want to play Prime 4 at least for that story stuff. You know, even if it's not considered the best in the series. I mean, look, a lot of people played through a whole bunch of Resident Evil games in preparation for Requiem. Like, I honestly thought about playing Resident Evil 6 just because of the Leon element. I didn't because I didn't have enough time, but I considered it, and I'm sure other people did. So that may happen for Prime 4.
That game is
not as bad
great.
as it's not as yeah.
But it's not as bad as people say. It's not. I went through Resident Evil 5 before 9 came out, and it was like 5 days before 9 came out, and I was like, well, I'm going to start Resident Evil 6, and I only got to play it for a few hours. But my intent is to go through it still. So And I played it. I mean,
can you do each campaign separately, or do you have to take like turns between them?
No, you can kind of do it how you want. It's a very weird. It's actually really weird, the whole format of the game. But no, you can kind of jump back and forth. I know you can choose. I think you continually choose and jump back and forth, if I remember right. And honestly, one of the parts I like the most about the game is how the story plays out, and how you'll do different campaigns, and it's a pairing. Each campaign is a pairing of 2 characters. And like they'll intersect with the other pairings journeys like throughout the game, and you'll end up playing one pairing's part of a mission, and they'll run into the other 2, and then at some point later, when you decide to go back and play the other 2's, you'll play their perspective leading up to the same meeting you played from the other one. Does that make sense? It's weird, but I liked it. The game is definitely my least favorite Resident Evil. I'm not trying to tell anyone it's awesome, but like, it's not horrific, and that part to me was one of the things I liked a lot about it. So yeah,
it feels maybe a little bit similar to Prime 4, like maybe it's a little bit of like an overreaction, you know. And I think people going back to it afterwards are going to be like, oh, you know, this is fun. Like,
it looks great.
I don't think Prime 4 is going to go down as the best Metroid game. No. But I think it's still a good game, and I think people are gonna more people are gonna come to realize that later on. So you know,
I see it as the kind of the standard thing that happens with a lot of games or movies, where at some point the reputation becomes so much one way, like, oh, it's so not good by so many people, that when people eventually play it, they're gonna be like, yo, this game isn't nearly as bad as everyone said, or this movie isn't nearly as bad as everyone said. That happens often, you know? So it's so overblown right now. And I'm not here to tell anyone it's perfect. You can watch my many reviews. I have problems, but I still love the game. It's still a really good game. So.
Absolutely. So apparently someone posted movie spoilers. No movie spoilers, guys, please.
Oh.
Yeah, it was blocked.
Did you see something? Did you just see something?
I saw that one of my moderators, Boo Mini, took care of it before I saw it.
Okay, so you didn't catch it yourself.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, I actually can see it on the back end. I'm not really reading it, but I don't know exactly what it's one of those things where I skimmed enough to know that something funky is going on, but I don't. That word funky is not a hint towards anything. I'm just saying. I'm just saying
that the cat's out of the bag, man. Now we know.
I'm just saying that no movie spoilers, please. So
yeah, please.
Yeah,
I'm going to see it tomorrow. So
yeah, I'm actually going to watch it tomorrow morning. So hopefully I can get back home in time and put out a review at a reasonable time, so people can hear my take on it. Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm actually going to watch the movie by myself. I've never done that before. So
it's a good time. I'm a big advocate for the solo movie adventure, man. I hope you have a good time. I do all the above. My wife and I go on dates. I go by myself. We have a couple friends I might go with. But I am a huge advocate of the solo movie adventure. So
I'm going at 9:30 a.m. So I feel like it's probably not going to be very crowded.
Probably not.
Most people have to work during that time. So I mean, technically, I'm working. So you know,
that's true. You might miss some of the best parts of the experience. And look, I am very vocal. Like, I'm not expecting it to be a great movie. I didn't love the first one.
Sure.
But if there's anything I know, like a packed evening showing with like super fans is where you're going to get the people the most into it. And that's part of the fun sometimes. But you know.
Yeah, I think it depends. But I totally get what you're saying. Like sometimes movies had like those really big moments where people want to cheer and get excited. I had actually. So I don't know if you're. I don't think you're an anime fan.
I love Dragon Ball Z, and some 90s anime, classic 90s anime. Give me Akira and Ghost in the Shell, which I own those on Blu-ray.
Yeah,
I love that stuff. But modern, I'm way out of the world anymore.
Sure. So you probably haven't seen Demon Slayer, but like Demon Slayer was in the theaters a few months ago. Yeah, and they had a pretty like at least like from a presentational standpoint, like it was really beautiful. And there's this one particular character. There's actually a couple of really big character moments where the crowds were cheering, right? Because like the movies are actually like basically like the final arc of the series. So they're doing They're doing basically a trilogy to end the series. So this first of 3 came out, and so there were some huge character moments that had some incredible payoff. They were epic, and so yeah, the crowd was.
There's nothing like it, man.
It was a cool moment. So I'll miss that, but yeah, I am planning on rewatching the movie a second time with friends.
Yeah, go see it. Go see like on a Friday, like at 7-8 o'clock or something. For this first weekend, you're gonna get your big crowds, and you might have a good time. Unless for some reason you dislike it so much you would never see it a second time, but I don't think that would be the case.
Well, so. I mean, I'm glad you brought it up, because I think I saw your post on Twitter. You're more on you don't. Yeah. They're bad, but like for me they're completely expected, because it's exactly how the first movie was treated. And as a result, I'm not at all worried about my personal enjoyment, because I actually really liked the first movie. So I guess for me, I'm not going in expecting like a well-told story. Yeah. I'm looking. I mean, the first movie was like a fun roller coaster with tons of references. I still think there were some interesting character moments. That's how I interpreted it. But I'm not looking for a traditional movie experience with the movie. So for me, I think it's pretty good.
Sure.
And so I'm expecting pretty much the same thing with the Galaxy movie.
I almost made a follow-up tweet to that, but I was like, I don't need to keep anything going here. But I almost made a follow-up, like basically doubling down on what you're saying. What I'm getting from like the critical consensus, to be fair, there are a lot of other fans and viewers who have also already seen it, because it's available today. Some people have already been able to see it. It's like publicly available, even though tomorrow's release day. And so even a lot of that is pretty negative, even more than I was expecting. But looking at
it's also social media, so I'd take it with a
very
grain of
true.
salt.
You're totally right on that. 100% you're right on that. But the follow-up I almost made was that it seems pretty clear that however you're going to feel about this will probably mirror how you felt about the first. So someone like me who didn't really think the first was all that good, I'm probably going to get a mediocre experience. I just want Fox to kick ass. I'm just looking forward to Fox at this point.
Sure.
And to be surprised. Like I'm hopeful I like it a lot more, because also Galaxy is my favorite game.
From what I've read in reviews, the Star Fox part is good.
I heard that. I did hear that. Not much context, but I have heard like that they kind of nailed it, whatever that happens there. So I'm very excited. And that's all I need too, I will say, okay, so again, I was gonna mention on Twitter, like, okay, if you didn't like the first one, you probably won't like this one. If you really like the first one, you're probably gonna really like this one, and that's fine. I do think that there's a conversation to be had, and we don't have to have it now, about people saying, well, the Mario games don't have much of a story, so you shouldn't expect that. Or, oh, the movie doesn't have to have much of a story because it's a kid's thing. And it's like, I understand the essence of that, but I think that it's fair to say in the medium of a film, you do kind of need the story and character arc part of it. And I don't even think the kids movie excuse holds a lot of water, because the Spider-Verse movies, WALL-E, Finding Nemo, Up. I mean, how many incredible animated films? Aladdin, The Lion King. I mean, Sleeping Beauty going back decades. I mean, kids movies and animated films can elicit real emotion and tell real stories that are interesting to kids and adults. Or they can do, and I'm not trying to be negative, so forgive me, they can do what I perceived the first Mario movie to be, which was kind of just a machine gun salt to very young kids of just like very low attention span, just like flashy colors and some great Easter eggs and references, but like just kind of that, just get it all out there and just smush it together in 90 minutes. And I think that they could make a Mario movie that's got some real cool stuff in it, like WALL-E or the Spider-Verse movies. I think they could tell that kind of a story in an animated film that's still for kids. So,
yeah, I mean,
but I'm hopeful. Again, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm excited to see it, and I'm excited for Fox, and I'm fingers crossed I like it a lot more than the first one. So
yeah, I mean, I think they could tell a better story that fits more within the traditional framework for what people consider to be a good story for a movie. I agree they could. I don't need them to, and I'm gonna enjoy the movie as is.
That's fair.
And I also think that Nintendo and Illumination don't care, because
I agree with that.
I think put it this way, Nintendo Illumination accomplished exactly what they wanted with the first movie. They did not fail by any stretch.
Agreed.
Maybe in
Not
the
at
eyes
all.
of critics they did,
Yeah.
but Nintendo wasn't trying to appease the critics. They were trying to make a movie that would really excite fans and reach an extremely large audience, which they did. I think it was like the second most successful animated movie of all time or something. So
it's two or
obviously
three.
they did.
2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it would have been knocked down quite a bit because Zootopia 2 just like destroyed everything in the last 5 months.
Well,
but yeah, it
we'll
is
see
in
what
the
this
top
one
like
does.
3 or 4. Yeah. So
That's crazy.
it's crazy.
And the
crazy.
user score is still very high, which is
true.
There is that discrepancy, which is why I did do my own tweet, and some people were really mad at me for what I said. I don't know if you saw what I said. Okay, this is what I said. I said I retweeted discussing films, just basically sharing of the tomato meter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said the critical reception of the first Mario movie did not match my experience at all. I imagine the same will apply here too. Wait for it. They just don't get it. It's that part I think is pissing people off, where I said they just don't get it.
As in movie critics? Is that what you were referring to?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
I know what you mean. What you mean.
I'm not saying they're idiots. I'm just saying what they're indicating about the movie is not going to match the overall masses experience. And I'm basing that off of what happened with the first Mario movie. There is we're talking about like a 45% like discrepancy here. The tomato meter for the first Mario movie actually went up several points over time. When it initially came out, it's at 59 now, but it was way lower when it first came out. So,
I mean, this is a phenomenon that's happened before. I mean, the first 4 Transformers movies, and I don't even hate those movies. So who am I to talk? They're admittedly not good. I just enjoy them the same way a lot of people feel about Mario. But those movies, terrible reviews, billion-dollar films. So it's not. It's this thing definitely happened. And then don't even get me started on the really great movies that get great that don't do well. That's a whole nother thing.
I mean, and so it's interesting, like circling this back to Metroid, right? Because Metroid is a critical darling until Metroid Prime 4. Metroid,
for the most part,
well, there's Other M. Actually, it's interesting. Prime 4 is rated the same as Other M. And
I'm fine with it because I'm the only Metroid fan that really likes Other M's, and I'm like, those are both great games. Now, I think Prime 4 is quite a bit better than Other M. Don't get me wrong, but I like them both. So yeah.
Which I think speaks to my point. I think you're on the same page with me. You just said it. Like, the fact that the Metacritic score for the games are the same, I think goes to show that it's just not, something's not quite right with that.
There's something very strange. It's
yeah. Well, also, I mean, it has the same score as Pokemon Legends Z and Hyrule Warriors. I know there's some people who are really high in Hyrule Warriors. I'm not.
I thought it was okay. I thought it was good.
I think it's worthy of a 78 on Metacritic.
Okay, I'd probably give it an 8. What is the new Pokemon game? You said that game didn't get.
It's like a 78. It's like a 78 as well.
I had no idea.
Give or take a point, because there's some fluctuation there. Maybe it's 77.
I'll ask you. You're a Pokemon fan. I know most of the viewers watching probably are too. I am not. I'm a Nintendo fan who's not a Pokemon fan. What do those games normally review like? I'm so not aware. I just don't follow. So
there's a lot of variance, to be honest with you.
Okay.
We're talking about 6 through 9.5.
Oh, so it's a big swing. Okay, got
it. Maybe 9.5 is an exact, not 6 to 9. Like the best games can get the 9s. The weakest.
What did the last Legend? What did the Arceus
7-ish? I think it was like an 8, like an 82, 83.
I remember there a lot of buzz about that one. My wife actually bought and played it too. So I remember quite a bit that people were like, "Oh, this is like one of the best Pokemon games in a long time." That's
83 Metacritic score. Legends Arceus.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah. Let's look at Scarlet and Violet. I bet Scarlet and Violet's like a 67. Is this an anime? I'm just talking about like what? Looking for the games. Oh, I think it's looking at the DLC. Okay, so Pokemon Scarlet and Violet got 72 and 71.
Oh, okay. So, hey, the new one is better than that, at least in terms of Metacritic, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the user
Are the
scores are
fans
3.5.
happy with AZ? Are people happy with that one?
Let's look up Legend of ZA.
I'm opening up a
let's
whole can
those
here.
windows though. I don't know. The user
Yeah.
score. Okay. All right. But this is where I also think it's kind of BS. To be honest. So I think the Metacritic score of 78 is actually pretty valid for Legend of ZA.
Okay.
I do not think the user score is fair. It's a 4.8.
Okay. Oh yeah, there's no way. I'm not even a Pokemon fan, and I know that that's not real. There's no way.
The thing with Scarlet and Violet, I don't think it's a 3.5, but it has legitimate glitches and polish issues that are jarring.
I remember. I remembered
anyone.
a lot of negative reception to those, even though they sold like 20 million copies. You know, so
yeah.
Again,
and I want to be really clear here, right? Like there are games where people complain about the frame rate. Like Echoes of Wisdom has frame rate issues. Requiem has frame rate issues. Breath of the Wild has frame rate issues. These frame rate issues, I guarantee you, 90+% of people don't notice. That was not the kind of frame rate issues Scarlet and Violet had. Scarlet and Violet had the kind of frame rate issues that would make you queasy.
Really? Whoa,
yes.
What happened there?
Yes.
Man?
There's like not every part, but like there's this lake, and when you go through there, the game's just chugging. Like it seems like it in theory, it's actually kind of like a pretty cool, tranquil environment, but it gets ruined by the frame rate, which is very obviously chugging to the untrained eye. So
is it bad. Like the Lost Woods in Breath of the Wild is kind of what it's
no.
Like?
No, the Lost Woods in Breath of the Wild is like maybe not noticeable for that many. I mean, it's noticeable. But
it's pretty noticeable in Breath of the Wild.
What I'm trying to tell you is that people can play the Lost Woods and come away from that saying, "Hey, I liked that."
Sure.
You cannot do that for the lake section in Scarlet and Violet.
Okay, so, I'm gonna trust you. It sounds bad.
It's bad. I don't normally complain about frame rate. It's bad. So.
What are people in the chat? I'm not looking at the chat. How are people feeling in the chat about it? Are they agreeing with you or are they not?
Let's see.
I'm curious
like
if
Jay Bix is saying that they never noticed Lost Woods, the issues in Lost Woods, for example.
Dude, really? I'm jealous. I think it's extremely. Look, it's not game breaking, and it's such one specific section of that game, but I find it to be remarkably noticeable. But hey, more power. If someone doesn't notice it, that just means your experience was that much better. I think that's great. I could very much feel it.
Yeah.
In fact, to the point where I remember when the Switch 2 editions were coming out, everyone said, "Oh my God, I'll be able to play Breath of the Wild without the frame rate problems in the Lost Woods." Like that was like a joke everyone was saying.
It's a problem area, but I'm just trying to say that like.
Pokemon is worse, is what you're saying.
It's significantly worse. Significantly worse.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But anyway,
I just want to reaffirm that we wrap up the Mario movie thing though. I just want to reaffirm because I know I don't want to sound like the biggest hater. I did not think the first movie was great. That's true. I am nervous about this, but I also didn't. It was not a turd. I've never claimed that it's a turd. It's like.
Would you rewatch the Mario Galaxy, the first Mario movie? Have you seen it?
I would if I like Galaxy, and I don't even need Galaxy to be great. I never need a movie to be great. I love my great movies. Project Hail Mary, I've seen 3 times already. That movie's amazing.
Oh, I plan on watching it soon. I haven't.
Bro, please go. It's gonna lose IMAX tomorrow for about 2 weeks because of Mario, but it's supposed to get IMAX back after another couple weeks. If you can. Or if you have another do you have any other larger formats like RPX or 4D or any of those things?
I do.
I do. Okay,
I think I have
one
them
of
all.
those if you can. Okay, do that. Do that. You'll love that movie. It is so good. But what I was going to say to answer your question, the Mario movie to me is certainly rewatchable in the right mode. Like again, 6.5 out of 10. Like it's fine. I wanted it to be 9 out of 10 because I love Mario. But I was like, Now, if I like Galaxy quite a bit, even if I'm like, dude, that's like a 7, 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 is a good movie. I'm like, if it's a 7 out of 10 and Fox has me stoked, if I get a Samus tease or something at the end that makes me say, holy crap, I need more, then it's like, well, now I want to go back and revisit the first one, like, right away. So that's kind of, to answer your question, like, I'm not dying to rewatch it, but I will if I end up really enjoying Galaxy. So I'm nervous, but I'm crossing my fingers. It's a really good movie. You know,
I'm curious.
I'm going tomorrow, so Fox sold me. I tweeted about this. I mentioned in my video. So I understand people didn't like them revealing Fox, but even as a big Mario fan, I wasn't sold on going to see the movie until they announced Fox, and I was like, "Yo, I am so down."
But you want to know what's crazy though? Even though they announced Fox, and that seems to be kind of like one of the most trending things they've done about it, like because I think the tweet about Star Fox was just it did
like
way more
40 million
numbers
views,
and way more than all the other individual posts about the movie. But we know who the voice actor is. We know that Star Fox is in the movie. We've seen his design from the poster. But we haven't seen any actual footage. We actually haven't heard the voice on the character, unlike the other characters they've shown off. So, like, even though people are complaining that it's been spoiled, it kind of hasn't. We haven't. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing him. Like, that moment he comes up, like, just seeing it in motion, hearing it, like, that's gonna be really cool. So I'm looking forward to that very much. But let me get through some of these super chats here. Unfortunately, Alejandro, thank you for the super chat, but the spoiler I cannot cover. So I'm sorry. Thank you for super chat, but I can't cover that. And again,
movie
please,
spoiler?
no spoilers.
Yeah, let's not.
No movie spoilers. Steve Basil, the real Nintendo dream is that Monolith is somehow involved with the Ocarina of Time remake. There's been enough teasers to give that theory legs. We'll circle back to this, Steve Basil. We'll circle back to this. I just want to get through the super chats here before we kind of go all in. Eric Terlato with a super chat. Thank you. Prime 4 didn't do enough with gameplay. Very basic. We could go back and forth all day on this. I agree. Prime 4 it's not the best Metroid Prime game. There's definitely a better Metroid Prime game that can be made. I will say that, I mean, you're not even saying the gameplay is bad. You're just saying they didn't do enough. And I understand that. We had really high expectations. I will say, though, that Metroid Prime 4 has some of the best music, visuals, and boss fights in the series. So.
And I would say, while I think that the exploration is the bigger thing lacking from the game than even the gameplay, because I like that the gameplay is still Metroid Prime. It always needed to. It always needed to be. They didn't need to make it. She's not Dante from Devil May Cry. Like, that's not what was ever going to happen. But the exploration to me is probably the thing that was the big thing they didn't nail. But the world design was fantastic. The art design, the variety of the different areas all looked and sounded and felt awesome. They just needed to be bigger. I think that's probably the biggest drawback for me. Yeah, I still love the game, but it has some of those flaws for sure.
I think the world should have been more interwoven.
Definitely.
Well, I think that would have been better. I actually didn't mind the desert stuff at all. I liked it.
Me neither. It's fun. It's not great, but I was I got what they were going for. And upon a second playthrough, have you played it more than once yet?
I haven't finished my second playthrough because I've gone distracted with steps. But at first, I was saving my second playthrough to live stream with everyone. And then I did that a few times, but now I just kind of play through it myself. So I have been playing through I am working on my second playthrough hard mode 100% on my own time, but I've been doing other things at the same time. But yes, I'm working on it. I've been liking it.
Do you find the desert to feel like less of I don't even know what word to use because I didn't dislike it. Even though I didn't.
I got
it. Do you find less of a hindrance, less of a weird? Okay.
Do you I literally got every possible green crystal, and I don't think you even.
That's insane.
I don't know. I don't think
you don't need that for 100%. You don't. I can.
Yeah. So I got double before the end of the game
because you knew what to do, and Also, the Viola bike is fun to ride on. I
enjoy racing mechanics.
Yeah, it's fun.
I like just running around and moving. But I mean, the other thing is, I'm high on Mario Kart World. A lot of people don't like Mario Kart World. I like just moving around. To me, that's fun.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
And I extend that to Metroid as well. Not just with the bike, but yes, the bike, but also just being Samus. Walking from point A to B, shooting, looking, jumping, strafing, doing the dashes, just playing around with these tools is fun to me. A lot of other games are not fun. A lot of other games are very basic movement. Metroid, Mario Kart, not basic. So
it's got its own identity and rhythm that is created, and it rests unique. Comfortably in that, So
yeah. But since we're Before we get, we're gonna now talk about the Zelda stuff. all of it, including the potential Monolith connection, Steve. But I'm going to ask you this one question about Metroid, Rob. This is a conversation I've been having a little bit recently with different people.
Okay.
Given that the sales of Metroid are kind of in question, and it's seemingly had very poor success in Japan, do you think they need to go back to the drawing board a little bit here? The idea I've had that I think might make for a big difference, this is coming fresh off of Requiem, is that I don't think they should do away with first person. But I think what they should do in Retro Studios fashion is to go the extra mile and develop a new game with a highly detailed, catered third-person and first-person mode, and you can switch between both, very much how it works in Requiem, and you just choose.
I mean, there's definitely a good idea there, and I could see it working. It would be interesting to see them borrow something from something else for Metroid and for one of their IPs, because usually Nintendo is the trendsetter and Metroid is the trendsetter. The 2D games became a trendsetter for a genre. Even Prime 1 back in 2002 became a trendsetter in its own way. My preference, this is just my preference. Would I be open to that? Absolutely. And they would probably make an amazing game. So I'm not going to like poo-poo the idea.
More people would buy it, I think.
There's something pretty interesting, and you're right. I think people would be very interested. As a fan, just speaking for me only, I more like the idea of them just committing to like whatever their vision is. And I like what they did in Resident Evil 9. I think it was very cool to offer the options. I decided to stick with the two ideal ways to play. First person for Grace, third person for Leon. Yeah, and because you can also feel how each of those two campaigns are designed based on those perspectives. But is it nice to offer the option? Yes. Fallout and Skyrim, those games offer first and third person options as well. Like, it's definitely been done before. And Resident Evil 9 to me, by the way, is a masterpiece. So again, you make that comparison.
One of the best.
It's so good. And I would never say don't do what another great game did. So I'd like to see them do that, but there's something more exciting to me about knowing Retro or Nintendo or another internal team or another third-party studio that is really good. Maybe they go back to Bandai, if Bandai ever was even doing it. We don't know for sure. Like, whatever. Yeah. And they say, look, we just want a third-person Metroid game. And then you don't have to overthink or overcomplicate your development or how you're using your assets, how you're factoring in different camera angles. Like, we want a third-person Metroid game. That is the design and vision from day one to the completion. Or still a first-person, whatever. So I don't know if that makes sense. So, like, my preference is to really just for them to pick one and make the best version of that. But again, there is a great idea to them doing the Resident Evil thing, and I think it would be good, and I agree with you. I think people would be very excited about having the option.
Yeah, my fear, though, is just, Metroid Prime 4 was apparently so expensive. It's at the very least, it's clearly more expensive than Metroid Dread.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't put that kind of investment long term and sell less. You can't.
This is very true.
Like, as a one-off, sure, but like Prime 5, if they're gonna do it, it's got to be a profit. It's got to make sense. So I think third person would probably make a big difference. So either that means they stop doing first person, or they find a way to do both. Like, or maybe there is another way to get it to sell well. But I do think with a lot of Nintendo fans, a lot of them just are not comfortable with first person gameplay. A lot of that has to do with the Japanese audience. That I also know a lot of it. I'm sure people in the chat. Actually, I think that's an interesting poll question. Would you be more interested in the Metroid Prime series if
you could say
you could play?
You could say, would you be more or less interested if it's third person, and now for yes or more or less, or how are you doing it? I guess. Well,
I'm just gonna say if there's a third person option, would you be more interested?
Okay.
Yeah. Would you be more interested in the Metroid Prime series if you could play in third person.
I feel like most people are going to say yes, even if it wouldn't otherwise affect their purchase. You know what I'm saying?
Will you buy? Will you buy? Well,
say would you not buy it if it didn't have a third person?
I think I just have to do this.
Just do it. Yeah, I'm kind of having fun with it, but like, yeah. But you think about, because that's the whole joke about, well, if you phrase a poll question a certain way, even without doing it on purpose, you might lead people to answer one way, or people might felt led to answer another way, when it's like, is that really getting you the info you need? But anyway, it's fine. I'll be curious to see how that.
I don't know if Nintendo's looking at my polls and making business decisions.
Although
I'll say sometimes maybe they should. Because I put a poll on my community tab and I asked, hey, what does Nintendo need to do to make sure Metroid's successful? And the most voted option, over 50%, was just be consistent and market better. So,
be consistent.
But
I mean, in other words, 3 Metroid releases.
Don't not make Prime 5. Well, yes, but before that, no, right? And also, I don't think they marketed Prime Remastered well. And even though there were things that they did well with Prime, go on.
Because there's actually 4. So, because there was Samus Returns, 2017, and then
Dread
it was only 4 years until Dread, and then it's not that long, and then it was 2 years, actually a year and a half until Remastered.
Yeah.
And then it was 2 years, almost 3 years, I guess, until...
It's closer to 3 years than 2.
Yeah. Basically, I mean, if you think about it, in 8 years, essentially, in 8 years, there were 4 games. I made a video about this, I remember, which it didn't release this way, but it averages to a game every 2 years. So...
And you know what? Since I feel like it's a good segue, and I don't think it's gonna be a long topic, let's just handle it now.
Let's do it.
What do you make of the Super Metroid remake rumors? Have you heard of them?
Yes.
What's your take?
I've heard of them, and I haven't jumped immediately to like a video about this because it's very much in my wheelhouse. Because I've been very careful about how much attention I give to like rumors that I feel like don't necessarily mean anything. And to be fair, I know you follow that stuff a lot more closely than I do. The last couple of years, I've kind of faded away from that in many ways.
Sure. I saw your video the other day where you're kind of a little bit disinterested with a lot of rumors and leaks as of late, barring, I guess,
man. I just feel like it's gotten crazy, and it's just like, it's like not real. It's not meaty enough. Now, to be fair, Nate is someone I trust. I think he's just so, and we've all talked about what he said, and it just seems real, and it's been corroborated, and so all these great things. So, and I call even in my video about that, I called out, this is the one time, just because this is somebody I personally tend to believe in. So I say all that to say, the Metroid rumors, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm sure you know a lot more about it than I do. It's just a Reddit post from somebody who claims to be like, I know things. Here I am on Reddit, and
there is more to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I could,
and that'll tell you my feelings.
All right, so I've been talking about Super Metroid remake rumor for a few weeks already, actually. Yeah. Because
it was discussed 2 or 3 years ago, even if I remember right.
I'm sure it's one of those things that comes back, Yeah. But Nash Weedle, I'm sure you've heard of him at least, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. He put out one of his kind of leak expresses and said that Mercury's team is working on this. Now, I don't know how much you follow Nash Weedle, right? I have, and there's a lot more debate about Nash Weedle's credibility. It's been shot pretty heavily.
Thing, man.
Is a big and I've been a defender of him because I feel that I've looked at his track history, and I've never seen it to be 100% accurate, and that's why I've never fully trusted it. And even if it was 100% accurate, eventually you're going to be wrong. But I feel like I've seen enough from Nash to say that he clearly does have good sources. However, after recent events, I think it's become more clear that he doesn't vet enough of his sources, his sources well. So there are times where he says stuff, and literally Nate the Hate will say the exact same thing a day later. Like the whole Star Fox thing, Nash he didn't specifically state Star Fox, but it was literally the day that Star Fox was confirmed, and people kind of understood it to be that. And he said,
let me remind you of a point earlier, though, that when Nate made his podcast, he recorded it before that.
Oh yeah.
So
well,
when we heard,
what I'm trying to say though,
yeah,
I 100% agree that Nate had like heard it. Like I don't think Nate copied Nash, like not at all.
Okay.
But I think everyone kind of agrees, kind of trusts Nate. Like I think Nate has the most proven credibility, right? So there's nothing really to question there. But with Nash, the fact that I assume that he didn't hear Nate the Hate's podcast, before everyone else, right? Yeah. So him posting a day before, essentially the same story, just a little bit more cryptically. Like if you look at it, like that's what it. I could show you if you want. That's not something you just guess. Yeah. He also had reported on the Donkey Kong thing instead of 3D Mario in the April Direct last year, right? So like there are things like this that happens that I don't think are just throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks. I think he clearly does get however he gets the sources from, I think he clearly does have a lot of accurate sources. But there's also times where he's like, hey, my sources are telling me a Direct in March or February, and then it doesn't happen. Maybe plans changed, because Nate the Hate's even reported on like a Switch 2 reveal and that doesn't happen, right? Or a Switch Pro and it doesn't happen. I don't think it's because he's a liar. I think it's because plans changed. And, it is what it is.
Honestly, the whole world of it got so complicated and messy the last 2 years. That's kind of why I moved away from it. And I've sort of just rallied against it. Like, we've got to find something more interesting than just relying on the next big thing. And people who it's like, what do we really know that they know? And it's so easy to even guess things correctly, And I used to be connected with some sources years and years ago. You and I have talked about this, and I've even just kind of stepped away from it all. And that's just for me. I was never the one trying to break things. I would just get told things, and I'm like, sweet. And many of them turned out to be true. And that's all that was. I will say, and only because I've got about 20 minutes here, so forgive me. That's on me. To go on the rumor, because I do like the idea of this. If it's happening, I'm okay with it, and I understand. I'm not. Let me rephrase that. It's very exciting. To say I'm okay with it means like, sure, why not? Like the actual answer is hell yes. I would love to see it. Now, the debate against it, I'm sure you've heard yourself, and maybe you agree with or not, is that you don't need to remake it. It's already perfect. Blah blah blah. And I think both things can be true, personally. You don't need to remake Super Metroid. It is perfect as it is. But if they remade it, then great. That we all win. Ocarina of Time, in my opinion, doesn't need to be remade. I don't care that it's from 1998. I don't need that game remade, but I'll damn well take it and probably love it. I don't think many games need to be remade. To me, the lesson I learned that relates to this is with Resident Evil 4. Because after the Resident Evil 3 remake came out, everyone's like, oh, they're going to do 4 now. They did 2, they did 3. And I know people don't love the 3 remake, but the 2 remake was excellent, and they did the 2 games in a row. They even did 1 way back on the GameCube. And so everyone's like, they got to do 4. There's rumors they're going to do 4. And I even made a video. I'm like, you guys, Resident Evil 4 is still a 10 out of 10 to this day.
Yep.
The perspective of Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube is already what they did with 2 and 3. Those games were made that way because they were changing the skeleton of the multi-camera tank control games, and they modernized it. You don't need to modernize 4. You just make it in HD and it's good. And I was like, you don't need to do it. Well, turns out they did make an RE4 remake, and even though I still prefer the original one out of nostalgia, it was great. And I'm like, you know what? I'm glad they made this game. I'm glad they remade 4. I was wrong when I said it was perfect. Well, I'm sorry, that it was so perfect there was no value in a remake. Turns out there was value in a remake. So I think that could apply to Super Metroid as well. So those are my initial knee-jerk thoughts, and I love picturing what it could be. Where are you at with it? I'm so curious.
Yeah, so fact of the matter is, it is a rumor. Take it with a grain of salt. Even now, there's like multiple people saying it, but how trustworthy are they? It's in question.
Do you?
But what
we
do know that I'll get to that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I just want to say this though.
Yeah.
We do know for a fact from financial information from the company, the parent company of Mercury Steam, they have been working on 2 different games for a few years now. One of which has already been confirmed. That's the Blades of Fire. We don't know what the other one is, but if they were working on 2 and like their most successful game ever. I think the most successful game that's ever come out of Spain is Metroid Dread. Why wouldn't they, right? So I think it's really likely that Mercury Steam is developing a 2D Metroid. The question is, what kind of 2D Metroid? And if it is Super Metroid Remake, I actually would be thrilled to play that, because it's available for Nintendo Classics. You can play it right now. I actually played Super Metroid for the first time on my Wii U through the Virtual Console, and I loved it. It was a great experience. And I think it's something you can definitely go. It's one of the more easily revisited games from the 90s, for sure. It doesn't desperately need a remake. But to your point about the Resident Evil 4 thing, remaking it becomes its own experience. So it just becomes a new experience based off that story. And I think that's exciting. And considering what Mercury Steam did with Samus Returns, how they added more stuff to do, not just different gameplay mechanics.
That is in many ways a new game. People don't talk enough about it. It's like a new, not just visually and because of the melee thing. Like the map
there's more. The final fight,
including the ending. I mean, So anyway,
well, exactly, right. So I would love to see them add another thing, or like you look at Zero Mission. Even Zero Mission was a remake of Metroid 1. But it's its own experience with literally a Zero Mission, right? Where you have a Zero Suit segment. And so I would love to see a new depiction of Super Metroid with more content, the way the other 2D Metroid remakes happen. So I'd love to see it. However, I'll say this. The rumor from the Reddit post thing, right? Like there was like a comment on the Nintendo Forecast channel, and then there was an Italian YouTuber
and that was the thing that I was aware of. I'm like, oh, Dragon Slayer 69 said, I have heard there's a Super Metroid remake. I'm like, come on Reddit, really? But anyway,
Well, so that to me, it's if we're talking about tiers of credibility, that's lower than Nash, right?
Sure. A lot lower.
Yeah. But part of it did indicate that this 2D Metroid remake would be sprite based.
Oh, I like that though.
Okay.
I like that. Anyway, so I'm so sorry I cut you off.
Yeah. No.
And this is the rumor I said I don't even believe. But anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't seem you heard that. You haven't even heard that part. So seeing your reaction is kind of interesting. Yeah. If it's sprite based, it feels a little bit less like a new experience, but it could still be a new experience.
It could be.
And the idea would be that they would still be working on like a Metroid 6 at the same time. So that would maybe that's the reasoning behind it. Is like, hey, we want to make Metroid 6 before Sakamoto retires, but we also want to do this for the anniversary. So here's like a quicker sprite based Super Metroid remake, probably like at a discount, and then we still get Metroid 6 a year or two from now.
Yeah. So here's interesting, and again, I hate this because I got so excited, and it's like this is the Reddit thing that I'm like, get out of here with the Reddit thing. But I just want to talk about that because I think that's the other thing when people want to push back against the Super Metroid remake. The only reason I would push back against it is because if given a choice, I'd rather have Metroid 6. I just want a new game I've never played. I want to know the next part of the story. But removing that, I'm very excited to accept a Super Metroid remake, even though the original game is still a 10 out of 10. And I think that people forget, like, you can say you don't want a Super Metroid remake because it's already perfect until you would see it for the first time, and it would just look like, whoa, I look at seeing it this way is like, I never thought this game or this area or this map or this music could look or sound this way because I've only ever known the 1994 Super Nintendo game. And once you see it, if they deliver on a vision that is incredible and modern, everyone is going to lose their shit, okay? Now, to that point, there are, in my opinion, 3 different visual styles I think that you could make any 2D game or Metroidvania game, and that I apply to a Super Metroid remake. The first and the obvious one is basically what Metroid Dread looks like. You do something similar to that engine. It's all 3D characters and backgrounds and worlds, but we're only seeing it on a 2D plane. That's great. I would love it. That's probably even most likely, if I'm being honest, and that's fine. The other one would be something like what Ori and the Will of the Wisps and the Blind Forest looks like.
Beautiful.
Which I would love as well. Basically, there's no wrong answer. So that's another one. And then the third would be a super modern 2026 crazy good sprite-based style. So if you think of something like Dead Cells or the Blasphemous games, but you dial them up even further. To be fair, it's got to, I think, to really be satisfying, it's got to be like to the next level. I would kill for something like that. And I feel like there's another game that might even have released that is already dancing in that territory of something really crazy. That is, and granted, I'm an old guy, so sprite-based 16-bit stuff just gets me really excited. So, and that's what Metroid cut its teeth on, is the 8 and 16-bit era.
It won't sell well,
right?
I don't think it'll sell well. I don't think it'll sell well.
I mean, that's a fair point. I think that there
it would
is
cost
a chance
them less
it would
to
hurt
make
the sales. There's true. Have you ever seen? I don't have the ability. I don't know if I have the ability to share a screenshot, but you should just look up. There's a Super Metroid. It's like a fan art thing of like the Mother Brain battle.
Yeah, I can probably find it. Super Metroid.
And it's a fan art. Yeah, do Mother Brain fan art.
Super Metroid HD fan art. Mother Brain.
Maybe try that. I mean, there's a great chance we pull up a trillion different other images, so I have no idea how easy.
Let me screen share this quickly. By the way, I know you said you got to leave relatively soon, but we still haven't talked about Star Fox.
I know we were going to do this. We need to do a part 2. I'm so sorry. I mean, I'm not sorry because it's so fun to talk about this.
We'll touch on them before you go. But what is it? This one? It's this one, isn't it?
So that's not the one I was thinking of, but that's definitely like one of them.
Is it this?
Yes, it's that. It's that. To me, something like that is like, if you make that like a sprite based, I don't know how, it's probably a pretty small image. But
it is,
like,
but
dude,
I'll zoom.
Dude, give me something like that. If you go sprite based in that kind of a style, that would get me very excited.
This kind of feels like Castlevania, kind of.
Yeah.
Almost.
I mean, it's got a macabre kind of look, but that's the Mother Brain, the final battle. So, and again, it's fan art. So you'd have to actually video gamify it more than that. But that's just a fan art image from like so many years ago that I saw that once and I was like, dude, I'd love a Metroid game that looked like this, So I know a lot of people might not agree. And I do agree with your point that it might be a harder sell to the masses than doing another Metroid Dread engine. And there's no wrong answer. I'm just saying, for me, my 45-year-old Metroid nerd brain gets crazy excited when I think about a pixel-based, but like super advanced pixel-based Super Metroid remake.
Cool. But in effort to cover the Zelda stuff, let's jump into that real quick.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, let's just do that. So I don't know if you've seen this extra stuff, so I'm going to share it with you quick here. How familiar are you with Special Nick?
I don't know that name at all. So
okay,
sounds like is that a leaker?
So yeah, he's fairly reputable. He worked for the Xbox Era podcast. Apparently, co-founder of Play Day One. Very chill person.
Okay.
They don't leak things left and right, but occasionally they hear stuff, and I think they mostly talk about like Xbox stuff because they're the co-host of the Xbox Era podcast. But when they have heard things about Nintendo, they've been so from what I've seen 100%. So if you remember like before we had seen gameplay of Metroid Prime 4, we had heard it was big and open. That came from Special Nick. He had heard about the Switch 2 bundle, like the pricing structure, and that would come out with Mario Kart World. Before we knew that, he put that information out there. He said we'd be getting a Mario Galaxy 2 remaster last year. That's exactly what happened. We got a remaster of Mario Galaxy 2. So like he's pretty accurate with these things. Like the whole like the pricing structure Mario Kart bundle with Switch 2, like that was extremely hard to predict, and he got that spot on, right? This is before we really knew what was going on. So yeah, I think he knows things, like for sure. He has legitimate access. And so this is what he's saying he's heard about the Ocarina of Time remake. So back in 2024, he's sharing like a shot from a Discord where he heard that the remake's supposed to have a pretty big budget. He's also heard, as he's following up here, that it's he was told that we're getting a Zelda themed limited edition Switch 2 console. He's not sure if it's gonna be bundled or not.
That would be sick.
And there's one more thing. This was during Nate's Nate as in Nintendo Prime, not Nate the Hate.
Oh, yeah, Prime.
But during his live stream, Special Nick was there. He frequents Nintendo Prime's live streams. Actually, you see Kiwi Talks is here too. But here he says, all I can say, this is in reference to the remake, is that it's an external dev co-developing and an internal team. So a collaborative effort. Those are details about this remake from Special Nick, who I think is pretty reliable. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's so okay. Big. So let's talk about just big budget. When you hear that it has a pretty big budget, and we also consider that Nate has heard that it's a full remake, whatever that means. What does that tell you? Does that kind of like alleviate fears that this is just an Ocarina of Time 3D HD? Does it make you feel like we're looking at like a Resident Evil 2 through 4 remake kind of thing? Perhaps beyond that or something lesser? What's the sense you have about this project?
I mean, it's probably the same that I would think a lot of people would feel. But yeah, man, that to me sounds like an RE2 Final Fantasy VII kind of a remake situation, which I think is what we all want. We want the Zelda that looks like the Wii U tech demo, or I shouldn't say we all, because people have said that they don't like that. And to be fair to those people, that's fine. I want that. This is coming from the guy who, by the way, my favorite Zelda game is The Wind Waker. So it's not even just about, I don't like it to look a certain way. But I think Ocarina of Time, that game, what that art style was meant to be representative of in 1998, was erring more in the side of realistic. So if you're going to do a remake on hardware as powerful as the Switch 2 in 2026, go as far as Final Fantasy VII. That's what I would like it to be. And I also say that because we trust Nintendo with a franchise like Zelda to like not screw this up. And I know some people don't like Skyward Sword, and so they'll say they screwed that up, but like we're not going to screw up Ocarina of Time. They're going to do a remake. If they're going to do it like this is reporting, I think we all would say they're only doing it because they know they can do it right. And so to see, just like I said with the three various art styles that I could see Super Metroid in that I've never seen before, to see that version of Hyrule from Ocarina of Time, and I said this on my video, every single dungeon, don't cut a single dungeon out. You kind of technically can't if you're going to remake the game, but like all those dungeons, all those areas, Lake Hylia, Hyrule Field, Hyrule Castle, the Ganondorf fight at the end, spoiler alert, like if you reimagine it that way, I want to see that world looking really modern. And I say this as somebody who's a sucker for classic games and classic graphics, and I play my retro consoles all the time. But if you're going to do it, go all the way, is kind of how I feel. So the budget to me, if there's any truth to this, then yeah, that's what that tells me, man. And then you asked the question, would there be new content? They'd have to be careful with that, but I'd love it. What are you thinking? Where are you falling on all this? I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm just going to share this image real quick. So there's this creator, Curio-matic, that I think has maybe done the best depiction of how I think. There's a whole video on it, but I'll just share the screenshot from part of it. Can you see it?
It's loading. And, yeah.
Okay.
Sweet.
Does it look good? Like, clean?
That's like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see it. Yeah.
All right, if I put it to the side here, I actually can make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So that's probably, so this is actually a 3D rendered environment. If you search up Curio-matic, you can see here the name Curio-matic Zelda, you'll find it. Really great.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I love this. This is my favorite depiction of how theoretically an Ocarina of Time remake could look. I think this is kind of this is my expectation of how it's gonna look. Probably a little bit better in terms of like lighting and particle effects, but something along these lines.
More video game and less CG like, probably.
Yeah, if you see it in motion, I think it'll look better to you. But yes.
Okay.
Anyway, listen, 3D Mario report. If we're believing this, we're also believing from the same source that 3D Mario is not coming out this year. Pokemon Winds and Waves has already been confirmed to be coming out next year. Sakurai just finished Kirby Air Rider. Smash is probably not ready. We just got a huge update for Animal Crossing, implying that it's not a new one's not coming out anytime soon, especially because the same EPG group also works on Splatoon, and Splatoon Raiders is supposedly coming out this year. So it seems really unlikely that any of the other 20 plus million seller IPs from the Switch 1 era will have an installment this year outside of this Ocarina of Time remake, right? Like Tears of the Kingdom came out in 2023, so obviously we're not getting a new open air Zelda either. This is probably the best thing Nintendo could put out right now with the knowledge we have of having a game that has that kind of sales potential. And so I would assume Nintendo's actually been forward thinking on this. I mean, I've been theorizing about this for years because there's been evidence to support it for years. The Anuma interviews, the Lego sets, it goes on. We've talked about this before, the patents, all that stuff. And so with that in mind, I got to think they're going big here, right? And big, I think, is more than just, it looks pretty. I think there's going to be some changes. Now, historically speaking, that seems to maybe go against the typical Nintendo thing, but I'll challenge that a little bit because you look at what Monolith Soft has done with their Xenoblade Chronicles remasters. They have new content. Look specifically at Xenoblade Chronicles 1, that it's made to look like a modern game with a whole other expansion to the story, with a lot of quality of life updates. So, it's not completely unprecedented for Nintendo to kind of do something like that where they remake a game visually and add new content. I mean, they've been actually doing a lot of remasters of new content for years already. That's what most of the Switch 2 editions are. Bowser's Fury was that in 3D World. So, I am leaning, and I don't have like hard evidence to support this, to be clear, but I am leaning in the direction of this is more than just an ambitious visual remake. But yes, some elements are going to be reimagined along the lines of Resident Evil 2 through 4 remake. And I think that does mean some new stuff. I agree they'll retain everything that's there. But I feel like story-wise, some things are going to be remixed a little bit. I think there's going to be voice acting. I've made this point before. I think the Light Temple should actually be a dungeon. Because Link just gets the Light Medallion when he becomes an adult. I feel like it kind of makes sense to give him a little bit of a trial to test himself in his new body, like I think that makes a lot of sense, and it's kind of like a linear part to the game, so they could very easily just like, oh, you went to the Temple of Time after putting in the stones, you had that whole cutscene with Rauru, give us that Light Temple dungeon. Doesn't have to be a huge one, but do that.
Sure.
So I kind of see it. I see that. I also think because of Rauru from Tears of the Kingdom, that name has more value now. So I think certain things can be recontextualized. So our interaction with Rauru, there may be some little bit of extra dialogue there that at least references he was named after the original king. Maybe there'll be some explanation in terms of the Kokiri and their connection to becoming Koroks eventually. Perhaps the Gerudo, the Gorons, and the Zoras will be depicted differently. Maybe there's going to be something about the Rito, for example, because they weren't a thing yet. Right. Yeah. But if we look at timeline stuff, there is some kind of weird inaccuracies. His like Twilight Princess has like depictions of Rito, but we had not seen them in the timeline up to that point. So could they maybe start to explain that here? Right.
Do you think they're going to overthink the timeline placement, though, if they're really making this? I mean, just for all the reasons we know.
I think there is going to be.
Or at least change stuff about the timeline placement, which I use loosely.
I don't think it's a coincidence that Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment kind of, gives us a little bit more time with that Ganondorf and the witches, which interestingly were not named, which I thought was weird. I wonder if there's going to be some DLC there. Kotake and Koeme, because they're young adults in the time of Ganondorf and Tears of the Kingdom, right? Like in that past. Yeah. But my belief is that those two are the same Kotake and Koeme that become the old witches in Ocarina of Time. So
okay, there's benefit to them doing something like that because that's a way to continue connecting to the modern audience. We know Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and the universe around those two games has now reached the largest audience any Zelda game has ever before. So I do think you're onto something with those ideas on how could they find ways to just, without changing too much and compromising the integrity of like the
little bits of
foundation
dialogue
Ocarina.
here and there.
Little bits, even you mentioned something like character redesigns. Like, what if the Zora looked a little bit more like the Zora from Breath of the Wild? Like, I mean, it would be shocking at first, but then you'd be like, oh, I get it. And all the people and the kids who have only played Breath of the Wild will be like, wow, cool, whoa, it's those, I know them, you know? I get it. Whereas if they look more like the original versions from the original N64 release, you know, they might not make the same connection. And I'm talking about young kids here, obviously. I will say what I like about this, what you say about how they kind of have to go big. To me, I agree simply because of the legacy of Ocarina of Time. And it is the same reason why, and I'm not even a Final Fantasy guy. I did play the first remake and I thought it was okay. I gave up on Rebirth. But that game, even though they made it into multiple games, which is both cool and also frustrating, their approach to like this game and its legacy and its importance in the pantheon of gaming history and PlayStation history deserves a treatment this special and carefully crafted. Ocarina of Time is that for Nintendo. And for all of gaming. It just is. And so if they're going to not do just an HD port and they're going to do a remake, they need to go as far as Resident Evil 2 or Final Fantasy 7. And I think that they will, because otherwise it's like, why waste your one shot to touch this otherwise perfect mythical masterpiece and try to like shake it up for a modern audience? You cannot half-ass it. You have to go as far as possible, all the money, all the resources, all the time to make it what people will really expect in 2026. I don't know. I'm not saying like chop it up into 3 pieces necessarily. I don't know that I want them to.
I'm not expecting an open world game either.
Exactly. You can't keep it linear, but you can add some side quests that don't exist, so that you can play around with that stuff.
And there's already some openness in the game. Like you can do some dungeons out of order. I think they can they can expand, but I don't think they should balloon it. You know, there's a different connotation there.
You don't want to make it too bloated, which is already a problem I have with a lot of modern games, which is why Resident Evil was so good, because it's like just 15 hours and it's done. Perfect.
Yeah, I don't need hundreds of hours of side quests. No. Just add in it's one of the cool things about Majora's Mask is that there's not like a billion side quests, but all the side quests are really meaningful and interesting. Yeah. I want just a little bit of that to fill up the world. Agreed. Like stuff like that would be very cool, that are kind of like interesting little episodes, of like just more character.
It's all about Castletown. Think of Castletown actually feeling like a little bit more of a living, breathing place than it already did in 1998. You modernize Castletown alone, you've nailed it, in my opinion, right? That's what I would think.
Yeah, and like actually Castletown getting redesigned would be nice. Like it not big, just like a static environment. I think in the 3DS version they added more polygons, but because they didn't have they did away with the pre-rendered like rooms and stuff, right? But it was still a static environment.
The camera was in one place and it moved around and followed legs. So you're right.
Exactly.
Same with when he goes up to the Temple of Time. It goes back to 3D when he goes up to the castle.
Yes. Yeah. So like that, I expect to be gone. I expect it to be a fully like a world that you can look at from every angle with a analog camera.
Just
with
like the villages in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Just like
exactly.
One of those,
Just like that. Did you mention earlier that you don't want the dungeons to be touched, or am I imagining?
Well, don't like remove them is more what I mean. I don't want them to feel like they need to like shift things around to such a degree, like because there are so many dungeons in that game, which is incredible given the year it came out in. But they're all so important that it's just this random fear that popped into my head when I thought about how cool this remake could be, and I was like, but would they do something crazy like shorten the number of like condense some things?
I don't think they should do that.
Yeah, and that's all I was saying is please don't do that. I want every dungeon from this game to be redone for 2026. I want to see what that's like.
But I want them reimagined.
That too, sure.
So and the thing is, it goes back to the Resident Evil 4 thing, where allow this to be its own experience. We already have Ocarina of Time on Nintendo Classics. Most people can just play that whenever they want on their Switch.
I have it on my Nintendo 64.
Oh, you still have the OG version, even better, right? But my point is that like we have that already. this is a new take, right?
Yeah.
I think the point is to maintain the essence, but take advantage of the innovations of the new hardware, the technology. I'm
1000%.
not asking for a Breath of the Wild vacation, but I do think there are some modern elements that I do think they should incorporate, like manual jumping, for example. Maybe making the weapon, the items a little bit more free flowing. Maybe the hook
Well,
shot.
modernizing the combat maybe is which I think you could do that. You could modernize the combat to a degree. If I'm being honest, maybe this is a hot take, and to me both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are masterpieces. I still don't love the combat in those games, and I think
agree.
That's it. Yeah, that's an area. Okay, so that's I didn't know if we'd be apart on that, which is fine.
No,
other people
I agree.
It's
one of the worst parts of the game.
It's probably the last area that Zelda needs to really fix.
Yeah, and to be clear, I've talked about this before. It's not that the combat is bad. I think there's a lot of Breath and Tears actually have more combat interaction possibilities than prior Zelda games because of everything else with the physics and all. But in terms of the weapon combat, those weapon combos are repetitive, and it's boring.
And even your maneuverability and your jumping left and right and all this stuff, like
Flurry Rush is only interesting for I love Flurry Rush. I don't want that to go away, but I want like you look at what they did in Twilight Princess. There was a lot more combo strings, but the issue with Twilight Princess is that there was no enemies to take advantage of those combo strings. So I think I just think it's something that the Zelda games have been lacking for a long time now.
Pretty much almost forever, really. Honestly, I would even say once they went into 3D. Because in 2D, it's just designed so perfectly for the way those games play, the top-down games. It's just, even, honestly, Zelda 2 doesn't get enough love for actually how diverse some of that combat can be with the spells, and he goes forward, he goes down and ducks, and the way that the rhythm against fighting enemies in that game is so good. For the era is, of course, what I mean when I say it was so good for the era. I was like 9 years old when that game came out or whatever. So it was like amazing. And I think that the 3D games, Ocarina, Breath of the Wild, and Wind Waker are like my 3 favorite Zelda games, and A Link to the Past. So it's not that I'm knocking those 3D games, but I do think that the combat kind of went downhill relative to each period the games came out in, starting with the 3D era,
Yeah, there's a lot of similar games now that have way better combat. I mean, Crimson Desert, Elden Ring, there's so many Soulsborne games now.
Bayonetta.
Bayonetta. I mean, that's an action-focused game, but even still, that. There's just so many games that have better combat than Zelda, and maybe that's one of the cool things about Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment is that the combat's pretty good.
It's great.
It's really. I would say, if Ocarina of Time had combat along those lines, I think that would work.
Not that extreme for sure, because that they're getting into goofy territory in the Hyrule Warriors games, which works.
Yeah, I don't need A B B B B A B B B B.
Yeah.
But a focus on a lot of dodges and having different combo attacks. That would be cool. And, if we're talking, and, I want the game to be challenging. An issue with 3D Zelda until Breath of the Wild was the game. Well, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask were okay.
Majora's Mask is kind of hard in some spots, actually.
It is. But with Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, it became super easy. I think I lost you for a second, Rob.
Oh.
Up.
Am I back?
Heard you. You're back. Okay. You're back. It was,
I saw myself go away.
Yeah.
Go away. So I'm so sorry, but I'm back.
Yeah.
It's a sign that I have to wrap up soon. Oh no.
Yeah.
Is it messing around again? Oh no.
Yeah. So
I'm assuming you can't see or hear me. Can you see or hear
me? No,
I
can hear and see you fine.
Oh, you can. Oh, got it. I was thinking I was still totally busted on your end. So sorry.
No,
I didn't mean to create dead air there.
No, we're all good. Yeah, no, we're good. So I think we're just talking about Yeah, combat should be good. Like,
the combat should be good. The combat should be better. You know, and one thing I wanted to add, and this really needs to be my last point because I'm 15 over
yeah,
time here,
yeah,
is one of the things we have to realize they would have to do in order to improve the combat is really change up the enemies and how the enemies interact and how they combat. So it's the rhythm and cadence between both Link and the enemies that have to make those adjustments. But I think they would do that, right? So
yeah. And also, I think that goes to the bosses too. The bosses, because like, listen, the bosses are iconic. Like, they got to go bigger. They got to make them even more interesting. You know, actually, I know you got to go. Quick thing, we don't know who is developing this. Supposedly internal Nintendo and external help.
Yeah,
crazy idea. What if it was From Software that was helping out? I know probably not because they're working on the Dustbloods, but
that shows a Nintendo partnership. That's an interesting thought. Somebody mentioned earlier the Monolith thing, right? Didn't that come up about Monolith?
Yeah,
and that's not external, but you know, just thinking.
Well, I mean, what if it was Monolith Soft and From Software together? That would be like the ultimate like non-3D Zelda team combination to make a Zelda game. Because Monolith would bring the world and the music and the storytelling. From Software would bring the combat and the boss designs. You know, obviously not as gruesome for Zelda, right? But you know,
sure.
I'm sure Onuma will give the okay. But
I think with the proper Nintendo oversight, which of course we know they would do anyway, that's. So it's tough because I love both of those teams so much. So there's part of me that's like, that's the greatest combination. And the other part of me is like, is that two separate, very weird teams to put together on Zelda of all things? You know
also,
what I'm saying?
Neither team has a history of making really good dungeons. Well, Monosoft helps with the 3D Zelda teams that make the good dungeons. True.
But if they're building off a template, does that give them the guidance they need to nail it potentially?
Sure, right? And they can always bring in some talent that's like dungeon focused.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it. I mean, From Software would be a huge thing to I don't think it would be. But it's a great idea. I think Monolith makes more sense just because it's already Nintendo. But the other external, I mean, it's so easy to jump to something like Bandai because they've worked with Nintendo. They go back to the Metroid rumors. I could see that being a team that they might partner with. Even though From Software would probably make me more excited. I don't know who else it could be. It's not going to be like a Capcom. Would it be... Or, well, no. Next Level is owned by Nintendo now, so it wouldn't... That's internal. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's another possibility that maybe there's a little bit of misunderstanding there, because, I mean, sometimes people look at, like, Monolith Soft as external, but they're not.
True. That's a good point.
Like, I've had conversations with people who even do understand that they're wholly owned by Nintendo, but because it's not Nintendo EPD, they still word it as external.
Yeah, like
so that could be a little...
Yeah.
There's certainly a lot of wiggle room in terms of how people might word it, but if we take it at its core, it means a combination of Nintendo brought in a third-party partner and it's internal at the same time.
What if it's retro?
Right, which is technically internal, but they're also in Texas, so you know.
Yeah, that would be true.
But you know, I'll say this: Retro Studios, like their Metroid Prime 4 is very Ocarina of Time-esque in a lot of ways.
I agree with you on that. Actually, I agree. That's a great point. And so. And you and I are two people who think they did a good job with that. Even if they didn't make a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, they did a good job. So
yes.
And look what they did visually, by the way.
Right. Like, they could make an incredible game. Like, I mean, you look at... Like, if, for example, they were going to make a Switch 1 version of Ocarina of Time, you look at what they did with Metroid Prime Remastered, with that kind of tech, they could have pulled it off.
True. Very true. Yeah.
So, awesome. I think it'd be awesome. Anyway, I know you got to go. We didn't talk too much about Star Fox, the game, but apparently Star Fox classic style with online play. I'm sure you and I are going to be playing together because that's just going to be crazy.
Yes, and I'll even say this.
We'll use game chat. Finally, have a game.
You know what? That would be the first time I would use game chat. That would actually be a lot of fun. I would love to do that with you.
Yeah.
I will say this is my next video topic. But I know there's a lot of debate on if classic Star Fox is the right or wrong call. People are very split on that. I'm sure you've seen. I'll take any kind of Star Fox. They can experiment or they can give me whatever. But I would love a traditional Star Fox. I'm a simple man. Go on rails. Just make it look and play better than ever before, and I'd be happy. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. You do agree or you don't agree?
Which part?
On it would be good if they did an on rails traditional style, because there's a lot of people who don't want them to do that.
So I was calling for maybe like an evolution of what they did in Starlink. But I'm okay with a purist Star Fox. I think that'd be awesome. But I'll tell you this: I do not want it to be another retelling of Star Fox 64.
Sure, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I don't. I think Nate said it's not that, right?
He said classic Star Fox. Classic
Star
Fox.
Well, I think he said.
I don't know if he mentioned that. I don't remember him clarifying. I don't know if he knows about the story stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, and I might be misremembering, so someone can check. I did listen to the whole podcast like the day before yesterday. I'm pretty sure he said it's a new Star Fox, as in like contextually the world, the missions, the bosses. But then the discussion is it on rails? Is it open world? Are you on foot? Is it a Star Fox Adventures? Blah 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 blah.
Sure.
That's
there's a whole other apparently there's a rumor that there's gonna be an Adventures game too, but I don't know about that.
I doubt it, but I want that.
Yeah, I want it too. So I'll say that, yeah, I mean, I'm assuming, like, we're talking about, like, R-Wing dogfights here for the most part. Is there anything else beyond that? And so when they say classic, I wonder, is there anything that goes beyond typical, like, Star Fox 64 style kind of a gameplay? That doesn't indicate... I'm not sure, right? If it is just that, I mean, I feel like I'm gonna have to see what they offer for the online play perspective.
You might want more, is what it sounds like. You might want more than that traditional template.
Maybe I do.
Okay.
Like, if we just got Star Fox 64 with online multiplayer, but with modern visuals and a different story, I would like that. I mean, because that still has like Landmaster gameplay as well. I mean, the thing is, Star Fox gameplay has always had multiple modes.
Yeah, so there's the submarine, which I can't remember what it's called, but there's a submarine.
Yeah, there's a submarine, and then Zero added the Walker and the Spy Bot or something. So I don't know if Classic would mean that those aren't there. What I will tell you, though, is that I was kind of hoping to have a Star Fox where we would see the character a little bit more, maybe kind of like a Star Fox Assault. I don't necessarily need... I mean, I know Assault was... Some people didn't like those segments, but I don't think it's because it was literally because they had those segments. I think it's just because of the way the segments were executed. So I don't know if that counts as not classic.
Well, I heard an idea talking about making it like not RPG in gameplay, but like you're doing a lot of dialogue and you're walking around and you're gathering teammates and you're doing like almost like Mass Effect might be a stretch, but you're doing some stuff like that. They want to go like way outside the bounds, which again, I'm saying I would even be okay with that, but that's an extreme ask, and I've seen people say, paint a picture. Don't make it old school. Okay.
Yeah, let me paint a picture. So you still have like a level select route system to some extent, right? I don't think the game's supposed to be extremely long, but maybe there's a little bit extra. And so maybe they have a hub, and the hub is literally the Great Fox, right? So you can actually explore the hub. Right, and so the hub is talking to your team, maybe doing some test sequences, some mini games, right? And then you can take distress signals from other levels where maybe you can bring in other characters onto your team if successful, and so you have more to choose from, which then unlocks those characters from multiplayer as well. But you still have the gameplay still flying around, Landmaster, stuff like that, and that way you still get a little bit of that, I get to actually walk around, see Fox and friends and stuff, which I think is good for the brand.
So here's the thing. I agree. And my whole preface to this is like Star Fox is the kind of series where every weird swing they've ever taken, I liked. Star Fox Command, Star Fox Adventure, Star Fox Assault, Star Fox Zero.
Sure.
I love it. So they can go really weird with it in that way, but I do think they run the risk of not
loading
giving
it?
enough Arwing gameplay for
Oh,
people
okay.
who want that, you know. So
Yeah.
which was a complaint people had about Star Fox Adventures. So it's tricky. I'm open to it all, but I will say again, and I said this on my video, it's like if Nintendo had come to me and said, "We're gonna make a Star Fox game, Rob. What do you want us to do?" I would say make a traditional, like the better looking, longer, more expansive version of a traditional Star Fox and Star Fox 64 with online multiplayer missions. Like that's what I would ask for, but I am open to whatever they would do, if that makes sense. And there is a debate, which is why I brought it up and asked you, because I've seen a lot of people, some people hate the idea of it being on rails. They get like mad about it. And I'm like, man, that's Star Fox though, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm open-minded, you know. I'm just, as long as it's done well, I think I'm gonna be pretty happy about it. Supposedly it's a real looker, so that's gonna be fun.
Let's go.
Just to kind of see it. I know you gotta go. We could keep going, but I know you gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm very curious how they're gonna reveal it. I guess it's just gonna be like a random trailer drop, or I don't direct mini. I don't know.
The whole 2-month thing is so weird, though, isn't it? That they might reveal it in April and release it in June. It's like, man, that feels weird.
It feels weird, but you know, Mario Kart World, well, we did have a teaser. We didn't get like a proper name drop until the April Direct, and it came out in June.
True.
And Bonanza was revealed April 2nd. It came out July 17th. So
great point.
They can do it. They can get away with it.
They can do it. Well, even people forget Metroid Dread only had 4 months. It was from June to October. I've brought that up many times on my videos. People sometimes forget that. So 2 months feels really short for a game, in my opinion, as important as Star Fox, but you're right. It definitely could happen. I think you make a great point. So.
Also, if it's multiplayer centric though, it might just get people like really excited to all like get on together and do that. Like, I mean, we mentioned it. Like, I don't think it's really been a game where I want to game chat with someone. This could be finally a game where we can do that.
I like the idea. It is very exciting. Okay, forgive me, bro. I do have to go.
Gotta go. I think we did touch on everything, so we did it.
Great. We did. We always have too much fun, man. I love chatting with you. I love doing this. So thank you for having me on. For sure. Really. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, next time, let's not wait as long.
Okay. We'll probably fail, but we'll try. So
we'll see what happens. I don't know if he was trying to go in that moment, but guys, make sure to check out Rob. His channel is linked in the description below. Rule of Two review. Awesome dude. Yeah. So yeah, I think he probably clicked exit. Maybe. I can. Yeah, there we go. All right. Here we are. So now it's just me and you guys. So yes, love Rob. But yeah, let's just do a little bit of Q&A for a few minutes, and then we'll call it a night. Well, you guys want to talk more about Star Fox, more about Zelda, something else? Checking in with the chat here. Jack Coney asks me, now that Nathan has basically dropped the whole lineup of Nintendo announcements on his podcast, do you think that he has caused more risk for himself regarding revealing news? No, I don't think so. I mean, you never know with certainty, but Nate the Hate's been at this game for a very, very long time. And, you know, like, Nate just kind of gets it. Like, he has so much experience being involved with the industry. So, you know, I don't think there's really anything to be concerned about in terms of that. I think he's very cautious about when he's going to deliver information. I think he takes the time to vet it. It's not to say he's always going to get everything right, but I think he's going to be fine. Artisan James asks me, do you think Ocarina of Time will be more of a reimagining than a one-for-one remake? I do not think we're looking at a one-for-one remake. I mean, I could be wrong. Obviously, I don't know. But it does kind of, I do kind of feel like we're talking about something a little bit bigger. Maybe that's the hype speaking, but I just kind of think about what big titles Nintendo had for this holiday. And so when I think about what realistically could come, I kind of feel like they just have to make Ocarina of Time as big as it can be. So That's kind of what I'm left to think. Now, if it's just a visual remake with some quality of life enhancements, I'll still be happy about it. So we'll see. But I definitely will also think they kind of would need something else big if that's what it is. Generic Cross 7367. That Luigi amiibo leak is really interesting. I feel like Luigi's Mansion 4 would have leaked by now, but who knows? Not every game leaks. So something I find interesting regarding the Nate the Hate podcast, a lot of people have said that Nate has like leaked the entire lineup for Nintendo in 2026, but he says that that's not the case. Now, he may not know exactly what's going to happen. He just leaked what he's heard about the summer lineup and one other title that we didn't know about that's to come after the summer lineup, right? Now, I'm sure some of those things may slide past summer, possibly like a Xenoblade Chronicles enhancement of some kind that's not ZX, for possibly maybe that Pikmin 4 Switch 2 edition. But I think there's room for more. And the way my brain is kind of looking at things right now, I'm looking at summer as Star Fox, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, and Splatoon Raiders as like the big hitters from Nintendo for the summertime. And then to close the year, I think we're looking at the Dust Bloods, Ocarina of Time remake, and Luigi's Mansion 4 because of those amiibos that we've heard about from Special Nick. And Next Level Games seems like they're about done. Now, it's possible that Next Level Games has been working on Star Fox and not, Luigi's Mansion 4. I think that's unlikely though, especially with what we're hearing about that Luigi amiibo. Also, just Luigi's Mansion 4 was just so successful, and if we're not getting 3D Mario this year, getting some kind of Mario Universe title out that's significant to follow the Mario Galaxy movie, I do think makes sense. So Luigi's Mansion 4, I've been calling for it for a while, so I'm not giving up on it now. I think that would really that in conjunction with everything else we've heard, I think would complete the lineup really well. I would actually say the year is pretty stacked if everything we've heard about plus that is what we're getting for 2026. Not unrealistically stacked. Well, maybe a little unrealistically stacked. It would be good, is my point. That would actually be really good. That would be what we kind of need for the beginnings of the Switch 2 to make sure it's successful. So if we start with Star Fox in June, Fire Emblem in July, or Splatoon Raiders in July, Fire Emblem in August, Switch Sports in September, Luigi's Mansion 4, Ocarina of Time remake, and the Dust Bloods in the months of October through November, because normally they have 2 to 4 titles during that period of time. I think that would actually be really, really strong. Artisan James, you're saying Elden Ring is coming out Q4, like the last 3 months of the year? I feel like it's got to... Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be strange to have Elden Ring and the Dust Bloods happening at the same time. Why are we thinking Elden Ring's delayed by that much? It was supposed to come out last year. I would kind of think Elden Ring would come out sooner, And by the way, in terms of like the Pikmin 4 Switch 2 edition, I'm just mentioning the major games. There's going to be like Switch 2 editions and stuff as well. So, it's not going to be one game per month is my point. Like that hasn't been happening, and I don't expect that to. There may be a month they skip. There may be a month there is only one game. There's also going to be a month there's going to be 2 or 3. There's going to be several of those. There might be like one major game, and then there'll be like a Switch 2 edition and stuff like that. Yeah, Kick It Smooth. I'm very much looking forward to the Dust Bloods. I think people are sleeping on it. So I'm excited for this one. Hello there, Joseph Ramirez. Thanks. I appreciate you for coming in and watching. Thank you. Scrolling through the chat here, see if I can get some prior ats. Yes, Artisan James, it is true that Nate had heard about a Career Plant Robot and for Switch 1. It has not come out yet. That doesn't mean it won't ever come out, though. It just hasn't happened when expected from what Nate had initially heard. Lion Star Lion. Nintendo really does need to hurry up with a general Nintendo Direct. And, this is interesting when we think about what we've heard about Star Fox getting a reveal soon. I'm very curious how that's going to be handled, right? Like, if I was told that Star Fox is getting revealed without being told what's going on with the direct, but if I was told Star Fox is getting revealed in April, considering how long we've been waiting for big first-party news, I would be like, well, it makes sense for there to be a direct in April revealing Star Fox, right? On the flip side, though, with the knowledge that we're also hearing about this Ocarina of Time remake, and considering the history of Zelda anniversary reveals happening in June, I'm also like, well, yeah, that June Direct is starting to make a lot of sense for that. What if what we're looking at here is a Nintendo Direct Mini? Or, crazy yet, what if we are getting a Nintendo Direct partner showcase in April? Because it does feel like that's what the smoke has been suggesting, a partner showcase. But what if this Star Fox game is made by a partner? Therefore, it can be in the partner showcase. We've seen Nintendo IP in partner showcases before. Hyrule Warriors, Endless Ocean, Nintendo IP. So Star Fox would be the biggest thing ever from a Nintendo game perspective. So I would assume, no, that wouldn't be in a partnership. Like, in terms of Nintendo stuff in a partner showcase, that would be crazy. But if it's made by a partner, technically it would be a showcase of a partner project. Like, what if Nintendo is like, I think we heard, well, there's like, is Nintendo Singapore now, right? Is Nintendo Singapore, that used to be Bandai Namco, right? And didn't they have the team that made Ace Combat? Like, what if that was them? But then that wouldn't be a partner showcase. That wouldn't be a partner project anymore, would it? It would just be a Nintendo project. What is Bandai Namco Singapore? Bandai Namco Singapore games. What have they made? Taking a look here. Let me share you with you guys. As soon as it loads, it's not loading for some reason. Do I have too many tabs open? I doubt it. It might just be, well, maybe Wikipedia. Well, no, Wikipedia is not going to help me. Well, there's this Google thing here. It says Bandai Namco Singapore has contributed to Tekken, Ace Combat, Splatoon, Pokemon Snap. So interesting to consider. Anyway, Pokemon fan here asks me, "Are you done covering Nash Weedle?" I mean, I've made mention of Nash Weedle multiple times in videos over the last few weeks. I haven't made a dedicated video for a few weeks on Nash Weedle, but he also hasn't put out anything that substantial. Listen, Nash Weedle tease, like, let me show you guys, if for those who haven't seen it. I mean, I talked about it in a video, but let's take a look here. Oh, I'm looking at my own profile. Lol. I'm just gonna find it first and I'll share it with you guys. It shouldn't be far. It wasn't that long ago. Let's see. When did the Nate the Hate podcast happen? Okay. So it happened on the 27th. So he would have tweeted about this on the 26th, I guess. All right, here we go. So he tweeted this on the 26th. The podcast happened a day later. So here, Nash had said, Nintendo fans, an entire generation we've been waiting for. We'll find out in April and we'll have it in summer. So this was before the Nate the Hate podcast went public. so you would assume he wouldn't know about what Nate was going to say regarding Star Fox. And shout out to Shy Guy here. This was kind of what people were thinking. Okay, we waited a whole generation for what? These, sure. Star Fox, yeah, and Star Fox was just announced in the movie this day, and then 3D Mario. And so this, he doesn't clarify if it's Star Fox, to be clear, but it seems pretty much what Nate suggested. Nate suggested we'd be getting a Star Fox reveal in April, and they would be coming out in summer. So that's literally what Nash is indicating here. And so this is a recent thing of a kind of like a big thing, right? Like, I would say that, it's interesting that Nate hears about a similar thing. Also, he starts talking about Star Fox stuff immediately after, right? Still on the 26th, for a game. So, also worth noting. And then this was also got more supporting info that Devil May Cry, he had leaked this on March 3rd, and there was a rating for it recently. So, that's just all within 24 hours, right? So he's still getting stuff right, but he got something wrong really big. So, my take right now is, it's a rumor. I think he does have legitimate sources, but I also think he shares things that may not be coming to fruition for whatever reason. There's a variety of possibilities. So I just think if he's saying something, I don't think you should buy into it 100%, but you never should have to begin with, right? Regardless of the level of credibility, until officially confirmed by Nintendo. But I would just be more skeptical and just be like, okay, he gets some things right, and it doesn't seem like just pot shot guesses, just shots in the dark, so we'll see. Let's consider, you just consider it, right? Does it make sense? For example, does it make sense that Mercury Steam's working on a 2D Metroid game? Yes, it does make sense. Right now, is it going to be Super Metroid? They've remade some Metroid games before. Maybe they'll remake, Mercury Steam specifically would remake this one. It's an iconic one. Metroid's 40th anniversary is coming, so a Super Metroid remake would actually be very fitting. Will that happen? We'll see. But I imagine we won't have to wait long to find out if that's coming this year. So, yeah. Just looking through the chat here. Let's see. I'm just looking through. Well, where's that poll at? So I asked you guys earlier. Oh, by the way, I'll show Ruby right before I step off, which I think we're getting close. Would you be more interested? I asked you guys earlier, an hour ago, would you be more interested in the Metroid Prime series if you could play in third person optionally? 59% said yes. 6-4, 60-40. I'm going to end the poll. So that's interesting to consider. Yeah, Pokemon fans, interesting you bring up Zippo or Samus Hunter. I don't really have much reason to cover Zippo. I think Zippo just makes stuff up, or even if they don't, the accuracy of their leaks are so little, so low that it's just kind of I don't even know if they post anymore. Samus Hunter has had a really interesting history because they actually have a history of getting a lot of things correct in quick succession a few different times. I think you guys remember that there was a period, I think in 2024, where they got 3 really surprising leaks all correct in a row, within a few weeks span. I think there's a Xenoblade announcement, a Donkey Kong announcement, and something else. And so I was like, whoa, look, Samus is getting things right, things that are really hard to predict, all in quick succession, and then afterwards fell off, and then just stopped posting. I think with Samus Hunter, they must have somehow gotten access to some inside info, and then they lost that contact for whatever reason, or maybe they weren't even allowed to have that information, and I don't know. But the point is, after that, significantly wrong. So yeah. Having Hope here is asking, what about Pioro? Yeah, I think you spelled the name correctly. So Pioro had, if I'm not mistaken, took part in an interview with a journalist, and I don't remember the exact details, but apparently he outed, I don't know exactly what happened, accidentally outed a source of his for his info, and so that caused a lot of issues for that. And we pretty much found out how PR was getting a lot of his information, and that was through having access to the back end of Nintendo's online website. And so I think there was it was the June Direct in 2024, and he was leading people to believe the Direct was not going to be that exciting. As it turned out, it was very exciting, and basically Nintendo kind of caught on to how he's getting access to the info, and so they played around with the back end so those things wouldn't be leaked. And so Pioro kind of led people. He did have access to real information, but Nintendo found a way to kind of cut off the bigger announcements. He had no idea, and so people were led astray to think the Direct was not going to be that great. He has since still had the occasional subtle leaks. He has an account, but he changed the text of it. It's no longer PR. It's just like random letters, and sometimes he posts, and they're usually like really subtle like hints towards games, and these games are like usually out of left field. Most of them I've never heard of before. So he still has access to some extent of leaks, but they're not like the big Nintendo stuff. For now, you never know, right? Like he might still have some connections here and there somehow, but that's like a very vague summary of what has happened. DDKOD, I still think Samus Hunter is pulling her leg with Prime 4 as a launch title thing. Well, we were under the understanding that Metroid Prime 4 took longer to come out than what Nintendo wanted. It may have been the case that initially they wanted Prime 4 to be kind of like that second in that Bonanza slot. Remember, we did have that Metroid Prime 4 advertisement of out now in the summer. So it's possible, that maybe at one point they strongly consider Prime 4 to be a launch window title, like that second month maybe. But that's not what happened. Keep in mind, like, the release date for games get pushed forward and back all the time before they're officially announced. I mean, we even saw publicly, and Nintendo had to do this publicly in 2022 with Xenoblade and Splatoon. They had to swap their months between September and July, if I'm not mistaken. Like Splatoon was initially going to come out earlier in the summer, and Xenoblade would come out later, and they were like, nope, Splatoon's not ready, but Xenoblade is, so we're swapping them. Like that stuff like that happens. That said, I don't currently plan on covering Samus Hunter. I would need to see a lot of accurate leaks in a row, a lot, before I'm like, hey, something's going on here, Joseph Ramirez, I pretty much agree with what you said regarding Nash. And here Joseph says, I don't think Nash is intentionally lying. I just think his sources aren't as rock solid as Nate's. And I agree with that. I think Nash may have a lot of sources, but some of them are pretty good, but also they're not always as rock solid. I also think maybe when you're talking about things too far in advance, they're more subject to change. Therefore, they're more subject to be wrong. So I think those are things to keep in mind. And yeah, there's a tier system here. So, yeah, I think from everything I've seen of Nash, I think he's a good guy. Honestly, I just think he's sharing what he's being told from people that he's seen gotten things correct before. But that's not enough. I mean, if you want me to be really forthcoming with you guys, there are people that tell me things. I will rarely ever say it. And part of that is because out of respect. But secondly, it's also because I don't trust it. Like, even if, like, listen, there will be people that I've seen get things correct that will tell me things privately multiple times in a row, but that's still not enough for me to be like super confident to like say, hey guys, I heard this. I'm reporting it as, hey, this is happening. I am rarely ever that confident, especially because I understand these things change and move around behind the scenes. Also, for me, it would be like, I don't know, third or fourth hand. I don't even know how many hands, but it's not like I, yeah, I, it just, I just stay away from that stuff because it's a whole different business, and that's tough. Yeah. And as you guys are pointing out in the chat, yeah, like usually Nate the Hate, when it comes to like talking about Nintendo Direct dates, it's usually like within a few days, less than a week before it happens, because there's a lot of flux. So usually that's probably part of it. Yeah. So I got a super chat here from Christopher Spreezy. Thank you for the super chat. What art style do you think the Ocarina of Time remake will be? Well, I don't think it's going to look quite like anything we've ever seen before. So it's kind of hard to tell you what I think the art style is going to be, because it's going to be something new. I mean, I think it's going to look like Ocarina of Time, but, way better, if that makes any sense. That screenshot I shared with you earlier, you know what? Let's do this. Let me show you. I'm not gonna play the whole thing. I recommend you guys just watch this video. It's really good. But I'm just gonna share with you guys just a little bit of this because it's beautiful, and they did an amazing job. So I'm just gonna share with you a few moments, but I strongly encourage you guys to watch this on your own in your own time. I mean, so this is it from Curiomatic, right? What could Link look like in an Ocarina of Time remake? Can you guys see this? Yes, you can. Again, strongly recommend you watch this whole video. But like, this is a style. It's incredible. What they did here is incredible work. Beautiful. Like, this is the closest thing I think anyone has made that gives us an understanding of how good this could actually look. I don't think it'll look exactly like this, but I think this is probably really close. Incredible. Anyway, like I said, I don't want to like watch all of it because this is an amazing thing. Just check it out yourselves. Yeah, it's beautiful stuff. So that's kind of something like that, I think, is what we're kind of thinking here. Yeah, that's gonna be amazing. Yeah, it's way better than an Unreal Engine 5 video for sure. And I'm sure the real thing, that's gonna have a much bigger team behind it. And there's gonna be extra little tricks and lighting effects, and there's gonna be even more detail. But that style, right? It's not going for ultra realism, but it's not like a cell shaded style either. And I think maybe when some people talk about like the Wii U tech demo, that's a good thing to play, actually. I think that's another good thing to look at here to kind of get an understanding of maybe what we could be looking at here. Zelda HD experience. Okay, here we go. And this is the original video. All right, so let's take a look at this one too. Alrighty. Oh, I'm not sharing it yet, am I? I'm not. All right, so this came out 14 years ago. You guys can see that, right? Yeah, you can see that. And yeah, check this out. This one, I think we can watch the whole thing. It's crazy. Now, this is a technical demonstration, right? It's not a full game. But imagine this at a higher resolution, higher texture detail, at 60 frames per second, on a larger scale, with more vibrancy and depicting Hero of Time Link, not Twilight Princess Link. This is also, that, like, with the changes I suggested, that's kind of how I think this remake could look. Look at the destructible environment. Look at the smoke, the dust, the lighting effects, the particles. The Link model is very simplistic, but the spider looks awesome. I'm assuming that's a version of Goma. They included a fairy though, which is interesting because there wasn't one in Twilight Princess. So it's like an amalgamation, right? It's like Hero of Time Link with Twilight Princess Link in one. Like, imagine this fight is in the Ocarina of Time remake, right? Like they could show us that Goma. How crazy would that be? What if this is the Temple of Time? You know, that extra dungeon I'm asking for. So what they had the demo in the day and the night, just so you can see that this is working in real time on the Wii U. Love it. It's still good. Look, you can see like there's just so much detail, and this came out in 2011. Right? This is a technical demonstration of what the Wii U theoretically could do. What could the Switch 2 do? You know, like we're talking about several significant leaps here, years of development. Like they can make something that looks so much better. Anyway, I think that covers that. It's crazy, man. I'm excited about seeing this thing. Yeah. It's just gonna be exciting to see Nintendo do something like this. Again, technically not officially confirmed, but it's now being reported by Video Games Chronicle, Nate the Hate. Like this thing, it's looking pretty likely. Yeah. Charles Trudell. I think they never did that because the vertical slice of this was probably doable for a Wii U or a Switch 1, but probably impossible to do at a bigger scale under 200 million. Yeah, for sure. Like the tech demo was definitely possible on a Wii U. They weren't lying about the hardware, but it was not maybe not a realistic thing for them to go for, because that was just a room. It was a big room, but it was just a room, right? Like I don't think they can hit that level of detail on the Wii U on an open world scale. That said, I also think Breath of the Wild is a very beautiful game. It's a different style, but I wouldn't say it's worse, right? When you account for the scale and the interactivity of the environment, the physics, the weather, I mean, I think they put out something that was even more impressive overall. But we're just strictly talking visuals. Like that was a visual style that was striking. On the Switch 2, you gotta imagine they could definitely pull that off. I mean, come on, like the Switch 2 is running games like 7 Remake and Resident Evil Requiem, Star Wars Outlaws, Cyberpunk. They could pull off something like that on a bigger scale now. Darcy here, but Nintendo report. So I think Darcy's correcting something I talked about earlier. Nintendo reports updated numbers in their financials if it reaches 1 million within the financial year being reported. Nintendo reports updated numbers in their financials if it reaches 1 million within the financial year reported. Okay. So once it exceeds 1 million within the financial year, then it'll be reported. Okay. Well, hopefully Prime 4 exceeds 1 million within the financial year so it can be reported, which I think it will, but we'll see. Talshall asks me, what if the Ocarina of Time remake art style is reminiscent of the promotional artwork of the original? Yeah. Let me see if I can pull up something. Well, I'm trying to think of one that's like, yeah, that's I don't know if this is the one you have in mind, but I think this is a good one. So, yeah, this one. I mean, it's very, you know, we're just looking at the models here, right? The environment's very painterly, but that'd be a cool style. This one's very painterly, though. You probably mean something else, don't you? Let me take a look. Ocarina of Time art. Let's take a look at this. This is a whole bunch of art. Take a look at this. This will be cool to look through. And then after this, I'll probably call it, and I'll show Ruby and call it. But there's a whole bunch of official art for Ocarina of Time, like a Goma, Queen Goma, Iron Knuckles. Like, look at that detail right there. That's cool. That's really cool. Can you guys see this? Yeah, you guys can see this. Dude, look at those veiny muscles. So these are all Ocarina of Time enemies. These guys are so cool. I am excited to see this guy again in 4K. Yep. Twinrova, Lovagia. Those arrows. Like, I love the look of these. Yeah, like, this is a whole bunch of just different image files from the game at high resolution. Obviously, some of these, you know, haven't aged well. It's a very different from anything you'll see today. Which is one of the cool things about it. Like, you'll never see anything that looks quite like this in today's era. There's some bigger artworks that come up later. I can kind of speed through. I'm literally going through literally everything on this thing. Oh, look at that beautiful shield. It's the mirror shield, Hylian shield. I think it's reasonable to expect like detail like that for sure. This part would be more detailed too. Like you'll see wear and tear. It's cool stuff. Oh, the ultimate powerful enemy, the cuckoo, the moo cow. Man, just got nostalgia. Yeah, check this out. This is probably one of the ones you're thinking about. Like this style, right? Like you're kind of thinking like this, right? I assume. Whoa. That level of zoom. I don't remember this one. This one's interesting. Wow. This one's like got a more darker look to it. Yeah. Man, this is iconic right here. Beautiful stuff. See, this one, this also feels kind of like it's a little bit painterly in the background, but these character designs, seeing this level of detail, like all the muscles, like that's gonna be really interesting to see that level of detail on these enemies, the Lizalfos and stuff, the Bokoblins. It's a very different look. Anyway, I think this is all super, super cool stuff. It's gonna be fun. I can't pull up the chat for some reason. There we go. Let's see here. Literata has asked me, what do you want from the supposedly Star Fox game? I just want a good game. I want a great online. I do want to see a little bit of third person, like moving around, like of the character. I think the main thing I want though is beautiful visuals, taking advantage of the hardware, finally in a Nintendo game using DLSS, 60 FPS frame rate. I want to see. I don't need it to be a long game. I want it to be focused on replayability. And you kind of go at it at different angles. There's different routes, different side quests and things you can do. I like prior Star Fox games, depending on you play the levels. That idea I brought up earlier, other people have talked about it, like having like maybe the Great Fox is a little bit of a hub area they can go back to, maybe take some distress signals and help out some other people, have them join your team. I think that would be a cool thing if they can incorporate that without really blowing the game too much. That would be fun. I really desperately, and this is like such an important piece. It's extremely important. Do not retell the story for like the 5th time of Star Fox, like the original. Like, oh, Andros, my dad is missing. Let's go fight Andros. Oh, my dad. Like, I don't want to spoil the ending in case you haven't played any. Like it's like the story for half the Star Fox games, if not more. I don't want that. So I want a new Star Fox story. I want to move forward. I want to see Crystal. Maybe Tricky. Like I want to see them move forward with the Star Fox story. I want something that it's a new story. And I'm not saying I need it to be like this grand epic. I want something new, not another retelling of the same story for the billionth time. That's really weird how they keep doing that. They need to stop. So that that's big. I want to see a lot of, I want a modern Star Fox, basically. I don't need it to be that crazy. And I'm basing this off what we've heard, right? Like, I'm assuming it's not like an open world. I'm assuming it's not a Star Fox Adventures. I'm assuming this is following a classic traditional Star Fox where you're going to have the routes, you're going to have the on-rail segments, you're going to have the all-range mode, you're going to have the experiences where you're on different, like, the Landmaster and the different combinations, not just the R-Wing. But if they can mix that up a little bit with maybe some third-person moments, it's all third-person, but, like, on foot stuff, right? If it's just hub area stuff in the Great Fox, or if they want to make it kind of like Star Fox Assault, but with better execution, I'm not against that. But I guess we also don't know the full scope of this game. If it's gonna have such a quick turnaround, I'm definitely curious. But yeah, that's kind of what I want from this game. I want a fleshed out online. I want this to be like a big online game that we're gonna really be playing, maybe with updates to come afterwards, like make this like there's like, what is it, like the Star Wars Battlefront games that have like multiple modes and like it was iterated upon. I'm not saying that same structure, but like something that's really fun to play online with your friends. It'd be really cool if they have co-op where it's 4 people, do you join together and you can do like a 3-hour, 4-hour like campaign of the story. That would be awesome. But have obviously team deathmatch, maybe 4v4s. Like just 2v2 would be small, right? Make it maybe even go bigger than 4v4. Maybe you can go like 8v8. Like that would be fun. In Star Fox Zero, there were fights during the single player campaign where there were many R-Wings, right? Like if you want to make it like a battle, like a legitimate battle where it's like you're seeing 16 for 16 R-Wings in space, and it's like a literal like control of territory, like a struggle, that could be really cool. And like, what if they would? Now I'm starting to get ambitious, but like what if like it's kind of like a Star Fox Assault style, where you can jump between different vehicles in the same mission, or in multiplayer. And so, maybe there's a command, like you can kind of see the process of the battle from the Great Fox, right? And so what happens is when you die, you respawn there, and you can see like the map and like the territories. And so you rethink, oh, okay, we need more air support. Oh, we need more land support. We need more spy support. And so you kind of relaunch in that. It's a constant struggle until like time runs out or a certain ratio of the map is controlled. Like that'd be a really cool mode. That'd be fun. I think that would probably sell billions. Okay, billions is an exaggeration, but I think a lot of people would fall in love with a multiplayer style like that. Connor asks me, question, our Nintendo dreams are really coming true, but the only thing that would make my dreams come true is the Triple Deluxe Plus Plant Robot to happen in the June Direct. Is that a question? I don't know what the question is. Are you hoping that do you want that to happen? Are you asking if I think that's going to happen? I don't know. But could a Kirby is it realistic for a Kirby game to come out this year? Kirby is almost annual, so I'm not against another Kirby getting announced this year. Maybe as a Switch 1 title, one of the few Switch 1 titles. Connor, one more thing. Should this next Star Fox game take place with the old Star Fox team with Fox, Falco, Slippy, and Peppy, or the new Star Fox team with Crystal and Peppy retired? Oh, interesting. I want Peppy to be involved. I like the idea of having options. I want them all to be a part. I want them all to be part of the experience somehow. Peppy could be like taking a back seat, but maybe you can unlock him. Like he's still a part of support. Like you still talk to him sometimes. Maybe if there is like this hub area. By the way, the hub area thing that's just an idea. There's no leak about that. But like I want a way to interact with Peppy is what I'm trying to say. And maybe if there's unlockable characters for the multiplayer, he's there for sure. Super Luigi Daisy. Yeah, 5th time's not the charm. No, I don't think so. I think the charm was the 1st time, maybe the 2nd time. Hmon661, do you think Master Mode will return for Ocarina of Time remake? I think if we're kind of talking about a reimagining here, the answer would be no. But I am always in support of a other tougher difficulty in the game. Always in support of it, so I hope there is one. Kale Collins, Ocarina of Time remake needs the cut Triforce or else. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that didn't make it to the final version of Ocarina of Time remake. So, I mean, of the original remake. I mean, of the original game, and also the 3DS version as well. Like they didn't include it in that either. But reimagine the game with more elements, then you can kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit, where you can be like, hey, well, what if we should include a proper Triforce quest, right? What if we expand the ice cavern? What if we do bring in like the Hebrew region? Like there's a whole corner of the map that just there's no snowy mountain. Maybe there's a snowy mountain area. I already mentioned the Light Temple. Like there's definitely potential there. Maybe they could expand upon the lore behind the Civil War. The whole explanation for the 3 timelines. A lot of potential material they can play around with and work into there. The secret fountains, like there's so much. The ice arrows. So A lot of material. I assume they're not going to do all of it, but I'd be very happy if there's some of it. Very happy. Anyway, I think we're pretty much, yeah, I think we're good in terms of it's me bedtime. So I think I'm gonna show you guys Ruby real quick here, and then that's it. We're gonna call it. Hey, Ruby, it's time to make an appearance. She's right here. Hey. Here she is. It's okay. How you doing? So you can see her face. All right, you're all sleepy. There you go. Probably, no, she left. Anyway, that was Ruby appearance. Yep. Well, that's the stream, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon. Take care. Have a good one. Yeah, she's a real life Thundercat. Correct, Chrono Rig. All right, good night.